This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
President Biden is bringing his pitch for the White House once again to Philadelphia. The president finished speaking at a church in Mount Airy before heading to an event in Harrisburg. This stop comes as Biden vows to stay in the race for a second term despite mounting pressure to drop out. Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson is in Mount Airy.
His visit is an important stop as he works to boost his approval rating.
We're all called to be doers of the world. In this nation, that means keeping our eyes on the North Star. The very idea of America, that we're all created equal in the image of God and deserve to be treated with dignity and respect our entire lives.
President Biden entered the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ to a standing ovation. By his side, Mayor Sherrell Parker, Senator Bob Casey, and Senior Pastor Bishop J. Lewis Felton, a last-minute stop in his campaign trail that's become more aggressive in the last week. There have been growing pressure for Biden to prove his mental acuity and fitness for office as the Democratic nominee for president. This comes after a poor performance during a debate June 27th, where he stumbled through parts of it. Biden sat down for an exclusive interview with ABC Friday, but that interview did little to reassure some in the Democratic Party and some voters. Biden's answer is to hit the campaign trail even harder, his focus on the key battleground states like Pennsylvania.
It appears concern among President Joe Biden's allies is widening. CBS News has learned at least 4 more Democratic congressmen said the president should drop out of the race. CBS's Natalie Brand is traveling with the president in Pennsylvania and has late details.
The Biden campaign wanted to show the president interacting with voters and appearing more off the cuff, given the mounting concerns within his own party. CBS News has learned several more House Democrats have said they think the president should exit the race. Mingling with union members in Harrisburg and volunteers.
We got a lot to do, folks, but we can do it.
The president is trying to prove the viability of his re-election campaign and joked about his age while speaking before a friendly audience at a church service in Philadelphia earlier Sunday.
I know I won't look like I'm 40 years old, but I've been around a little bit.
But across this battleground state and even within this campaign event, voters are divided.
I love you, Joe Biden. I worked hard on your campaign, but I think it's time for you to step down.
I do think the clock is ticking.
Allies of the president describe a critical week ahead as lawmakers return to Washington and discuss next steps.
I wish he could jump up the steps on Air Force One. He can't. What we have got to focus on is policy.
The performance on the debate stage, I think, rightfully raised questions among the American people about whether the president has the vigor to defeat Donald Trump.
CBS News has learned that during a call this afternoon with House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, several senior House Democrats said the president should exit the 2024 race. That's in addition to the 5 House Democrats who have put out public statements.
The pressure mounting on President Biden to end his re-election bid, this time with prominent House Democrats, including New York's Jerry Nadler, privately saying he should withdraw. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries held a video call with committee heads, including Nadler. Sources tell ABC News Nadler was one of 4 participants saying the president needs to step aside. So far, Biden has shown no inclination to do so.
And I, honest to God, have never more optimistic about America's future if we stick together. I really mean it.
Sources tell ABC News that Jeffries did not take sides with the other House leaders.
Andrea, let me ask you here about your interviews and something. I listened to both of them, and there's something that's similar here. You each were, you asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by the campaign or the White House. But they were essentially the same questions, both interviews, about accomplishments, progress in your respective state, what's at stake in the election, what he has to say about his debate performance, and what he would say to voters who think their vote doesn't matter or might sit this election out. Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Former President Donald Trump asked a federal judge to freeze the classified documents case against him. He made this request in light of the recent Supreme Court ruling that says former presidents have broad immunity from prosecution. Mr. Trump's lawyers say they believe the prosecution should be put on pause until the judge resolves some pending defense motions. They say the motions mention that Trump is immune from criminal charges in the case and that special counsel Jack Smith was illegally appointed by the Justice Department.
Trump also tried to distance himself from the massive overhaul of the federal government known as Project 2025. Trump posted on social media he knows nothing about it and disagrees with some of it. A spokesperson for Project 2025 says the plan is not tied to a specific candidate or campaign.
We are heading to the north of Israel tomorrow, to an area that has been under constant attack by the terrorist Hezbollah organization. Missiles, drones, rockets being directed at the civilian population in that area. Most of them have actually left their homes. We're going to be there to show support, to show strength, to show how proud we are as Jews. So we are going out there to the north. Yeah, people in my family, they're concerned, they're nervous. My granddaughter told me she was having nightmares about us going, but we need to be strong and show support. And my best friend is going with me, my wife, Shani.
Your best friend didn't want you making this trip by yourself. And I hope that while we're there, we do not hear any red alerts. But if we do, though, we'll see what it's like to run into a shelter. And we'll be there with those brave people who endure this every single day.
And I look forward to the barbecue tomorrow night with hundreds of Israeli soldiers. I mean, that's going to be special. And just meeting people in Kiryat Shimona and other communities. The Jewish people are strong, period.
Jansen has 2 down and leads 3-0. He's gone! And a virtual masterpiece by the Red Sox pitching tonight. In a game that took 2 hours and 23 minutes, the Red Sox improved to 14-1 on Sundays. Most wins in a team's first 15 Sunday games, tied with 3 others.
Bases loaded, 2 out, top of the 9th. Mets down by a run. And Francisco lines one into left field for a base hit. Gamble is in. Here comes Bader. He will score, and the Mets take the lead. Francisco Lindor with his 3rd hit of the day drives in the tying and go-ahead runs. And the Mets lead 3-2 in the 9th. Big-time hit for Lindor with the Mets down to their final out. And they jump back in front in the 9th. Edwin Diaz will go back out there for the bottom of the 9th. Ground ball right side. Iglesias comes in. And the ball game is over. On the 2nd try, Edwin Diaz seals the deal. Francisco Lindor with the big hit in the 9th. And the Mets have taken 2 of 3 from the Pirates as they pull this one out 3-2.
Like anyone would be, I am flattered by your fascination with me. Like any hot-blooded woman, I have simply wanted an object to crave. But you're not alone. You're uninvited, an unfortunate slide.
year of what was a really nice 4 days in upstate New York, Cayuga/White Lake, about 6 miles away from Monticello, exit 104, spending time with my great mom, Naomi, and my sisters. I didn't see my oldest sister, Alana, or my brother-in-law, Harry. They both had COVID. But I did see my sister, Ray Sherry, who you guys know, of course, had double bypass surgery not that long ago, and my great brother-in-law, Albert, and my sister, Elizabeth, and my brother-in-law, great brother-in-law, Michael. They had a great July 4th barbecue. But the highlight was right there, and that is Alanis Morissette. I love that song, Uninvited. You're all invited today, as you are every weekday, to listen to Sid and Friends in the morning. And I will tell you this, even 2+ hours north of New York City, wherever I went in upstate New York, there were a lot of fans of Sid and Friends in the morning. We know, for example, Susan Otto. She listens every day. Bethel, local politician. We know what a big fan she is, as well as Haley, Benji, and Jakes. Both of them actually helped me out to get to Bethel Woods. I'll get there. But wherever I went, 2 concerts on Friday and Saturday night in Bethel, tons of Sid and Friends in the morning fans, which is great. And Alanis Morissette, for me, was the highlight. As it turns out, we get upstate. We had the dinner Wednesday night, Sorella's, local Italian restaurant. Very nice. Just a family, me, Danielle, Ava, Gabe, and my mom. Then Thursday night was the big barbecue. And then we got to Friday and Saturday. And I was at the gym on Friday. And my friend Haley, who was her husband Benji, they own Benji and Jake's, Mark Levin's favorite spot in upstate New York. She asked if I was going to the concert that night. And I said, no, I'm not going to the concert. Of course not. And she said, why not? You're here. In fact, there were 2 great nights in a row at the lovely Bethel Woods, which I talk about all the time. The CEO, Eric Francis, does an amazing job up there. I said, no, I really had no plans of going. So long story short, I went to Danielle and the kids, and I said, any interest in going to Bethel Woods? They love it there. We all do. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. From the museum to the grassy fields to the amphitheater. And again, at the risk of repetition, those are the fields where Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Sly and the Family Stone, the Grateful Dead, Joe Cocker, all of them performed right there, exactly 1 mile from my mom's house, Yazger Farms, upstate New York. That's where Bethel Woods is. And many years ago, we saw Elton John there. But we've seen over the years a lot of acts, Counting Crows, Train. So this one was 2 big nights of concerts. Friday night was the aforementioned Alanis Morissette. We played her song Uninvited coming in. And it was also Morgan Wade. Morgan Wade is a young country star. She's actually been in the news quite a bit because, according to the gossip, she is, or has been, having an affair with Kyle on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Or one of those, I forget. And the third act that night, Joan Jett. So you had Wade, Joan Jett, Alanis Morissette on Friday. And then we went back on Saturday. And this was quite the lineup. Even Lou Rufino told me this. It was Robert Plant, of course, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin, with Alison Krauss. Then they gave way to Bob Dylan. And then Dylan gave way at about 10 o'clock Saturday night to the 91-year-old Willie Nelson. So of the 6 big acts that I saw, again, Wade, Jett, and Morissette Friday, Plant, Krauss, Dylan, and Nelson Saturday, for me, the most entertaining, and maybe by a distance, was Alanis Morissette, who was the headliner on Friday night. I got to tell you, Lou, the Dylan should not perform live.
Well, I know somebody who will agree with you.
He is brutal. First of all,
I know.
He says nothing to the crowd. I mean,
Nope.
You come out, you're Bob effing Dylan. Give me a Springsteen story. Give me, say hello. He literally walks out with 4 other guys, and it could be some studio band somewhere. he can't really sing. It's fine. But he offers nothing. He's got zero showmanship, Lou. I mean, zero.
You don't have to convince me, I know. And somebody who has seen him is to your left, and he will concur with you.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, is that right, no?
I am a big fan, and I love his albums and stuff, but when you see him in concert...
His albums? What do you love? I mean...
Well, he's got some great early albums from the early 70s. Nothing recent, but he changes the melodies in concert. So I remember seeing him, and he was singing Idiot Wind, which is a song I love. I didn't even recognize the song until 2/3 of the way through because he had completely changed the melody.
See, they do that stuff. That's what Adam Duritz did a couple of years ago for Counting Crows up there. He, all of a sudden, he thought he was a poet, not a singer. And they changed the melodies, and he spoke the words instead of singing. And I thought the Counting Crows sucked upstate. And I love them. We play their music on this show all the time. But if you're Dylan, okay, and you're a big fan, home, but for the average person, there were 18,000 people there Saturday. That's like Madison Square Garden. You got to sing like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
He didn't even do it. I mean, I don't understand these acts when they have monster hits. And I guess they feel compelled to promote the new stuff, if he's even got new stuff. But that's his song. That's his anthem. I would have been okay with wasting my time for an hour if he did that. He didn't even do that. Didn't even do it.
Well, you got to think a little bit from their point of view. They've been playing that song for about 60 years. And Bob Dylan at this point... He's got so many things recently that he's done. He's not going to every night go back and play
yes, he should. Every night.
Okay.
That's what I mean. And everybody that I spoke to was like, because they're not big Dylan fans. They're like, why not that song? It's like, to be honest, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss should have done Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm serious. These are the songs people want to hear.
Well, you're not up on what these guys are doing lately. Robert Plant does not touch Led Zeppelin
I know he doesn't.
anymore.
I know he doesn't. But I have to tell you that and I spoke to a lot of people, anecdotal maybe, but a lot of people on the way out, and they said the same thing.
But they went.
They did go, yes.
Yes.
I know.
Well, Bob Dylan will command a place no matter where he goes.
No, he does. Listen.
Until he can't get up on stage
anymore. Seats that I sat in Saturday night, $250 a piece. $1,000 for 4 seats, and they sold the place out to lose point. Right. They sold the place out.
Of course. So why would he have to do anything to cater?
He doesn't.
That's exactly like what Van Morrison used to do. Van Morrison would change a bunch of his songs. People are sitting there going, where's Brown Eyed Girl?
Yeah.
And he's not going to sing that song.
No, you're right.
When he is an accomplished saxophonist, amazing musician, and he's got 1,000 songs.
You're right, but the night before, like if you go see Joan Jett, you want to hear 3 songs.
Well, that's they're on a different level.
I guess
Joan
they are.
Jett is
no, you're right. You're right. Not Bob Dylan, but she gave you Bad Reputation.
Right.
She gave you Crimson and Clover, and she gave you I Love Rock and Roll. Alanis Morissette from Isn't It Ironic to that song there, Uninvited. Every major hit they played. Right. And you're right. They're nowhere near Bob Dylan or Robert Plant. But
they're great, but they don't have the catalogs that these
others don't. But they put on a much better show. Much better show.
I will agree with you.
We left the concert on Friday, and we were playing Alanis Morissette tunes because there was traffic on Route 17 for a 1-mile ride home in the car. We loved it. Saturday, we didn't touch any of the artists when we left the concert. Gabriel put on I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For by U2 and the duet with Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
So I guess my point is it's a gorgeous, gorgeous venue. The heat was unbearable even upstate. I wasn't here, but it was humid and hot and sweaty. It was not comfortable to sit outside for 2 shows, but it was still great. The venue is gorgeous. The names were big. The people were excited. Friday night show, I give an A. Saturday night, the legends, the real outlaws, the great one, maybe a C. In fact, we left early. We left early Saturday to beat the traffic.
So so you didn't see Willie Nelson?
No, we saw 4 songs from Willie. 4.
Okay.
He was actually bookended by his 2 sons.
That's cool.
Because lately he's sick all the time. There were rumors he couldn't even play this trip, and his sons at that point take over. But when he came out, the American flag, it was pretty intense. Yeah, he by far got the most applause.
Good.
Yeah.
How many songs did Bob Dylan do?
Oh, God. It was like one long song for about 80 minutes. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. It was like, right. And, the band was good, but you can get any studio band 4 guys and do that. I mean, I'm not a big Dylan fan, so there wasn't one recognizable song for me. Not one. And the crowd sat on their ass.
Right.
Nobody was dancing. Like Alanis Morissette, he did it. We're going nuts dancing. And again, I'm not comparing Morissette to Dylan, but in a live concert, it's not even close.
No, of
she
course
kills
it's not.
him.
Of course it's not close. I wouldn't go see Bob Dylan right now if you gave me
free tickets
for the rest of my life.
No, I'm done. I'm done. But I could say I saw him. He's 84. I'm not sure how many shows he's got left. He seems strong. He was fine. But I'm done. That's it. Got a chance to do it. Loved it. And I'm done. Friday night, great. Saturday, just okay. But a lot of stuff in the news, of course. Big hit by Frankie Lindor to lift the Mets over the Pirates. The Yankees lose again. Here come Joseph Abboud's Boston Red Sox. Donald Trump, he wants to talk to a judge about this classified documents case. And then all the Biden stuff. You know, you had Biden doing 2 interviews in Pennsylvania, 2 of them. And it turns out, according to both DJs, and they are DJs, I guess, not really talk show hosts. According to both DJs, the White House provided all the questions before. How about that, Noam Lady?
Yeah, well, nothing shocking about that at all. You know, he wanted softball interviews to recover from the debate, so they thought, let's go to these radio guys, and we'll give him the questions so he knows the answers ahead of time. And if those guys hadn't spoke out, I mean, they weren't great interviews, by the way.
They were terrible.
But good for them to say, hey, they gave us a list of questions ahead of time. I mean, I would have told them, yeah, I'm going to ask those questions, and then never asked any of those questions.
Yeah. I mean, he did those 2 interviews. He did an interview with George Stephanopoulos on Friday. And to your point, Noam, that was to make people believe he's okay. And it was terrible. I mean, any interview he's done post-debate, any of them, have not been good enough for me to say he's okay. In all 3 of the interviews that I heard, especially Stephanopoulos, he wasn't good. He wasn't awful like he was with Trump, but he wasn't good. And now you've got 5 House Democrats last week want him out. Add 4 more to the list. Now you've got 9, including 2 from New York with Joe Morelli and Jerry Nadler. And the question is very simple. Does Joe Biden drop out this week? It seems like everybody you talk to, Kamala Harris, that's it. No more talk about Michelle Obama. No more talk about even Gretchen Whitmer. They talk about her being on the ticket with Kamala. No more talk about Shapiro, any of these people. The Democrats have made it pretty clear that if and when Biden begs out of the race, it has to be Kamala, or they're going to have a whole bunch of trouble that they don't have time to deal with. So it's either going to be Biden or Harris. Is that fair to say, Noam?
Yeah, well, there was supposed to be this high-level meeting with Virginia Senator Mark Warner, bringing in some Democratic senators to meet with the president today to tell him to get off the stage. But that meeting has been canceled now. So it seems as though he wants to stay the course and he's going to stay on the ticket.
Well, he is stubborn, and he did say all weekend long in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, other Pennsylvania stops, that he's not leaving. He's not leaving. So I don't know. So let me just throw the question at you. It's yes or no, at least for today, and I give you the right to change your mind. Lou Rufino, does Joe Biden stay, or does the pressure get too much and he goes? Stay or go?
Stays.
Stays. Noam Laden, same question.
Stays.
Okay. I think he goes. But what the hell do I know? Because I've already gone back and forth on that literally 20 times in the last 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. I know one thing. A week from today, at this point, I'll be talking to you guys and our great audience from the beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because Donald Trump will be staying, and we will do a whole week of shows, not 1, 2, or 3 like the Super Bowl, all 5 shows next week, starting a week from today, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for the great RNC convention. We'll have amazing guests. All that comes your way next week. But first, we've got great guests coming up today with Congressman Anthony D'Esposito. Remember, Congress is back today, and they're going to deal with this Biden mess. So D'Esposito will stop by, the great Curtis Sliwa, Arthur Aidala, John Catsimatidis, Roger Stone, and Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo loves Biden. Let's see what he thinks today. So we wrap up the first segment on a Welcome Back Monday with the great Joan Jett. I love rock and roll.
I knew he must have been about 17. He was strong, playing my favorite song. And I could tell it would be long that he was with me, yeah, me. And I could tell it wouldn't be long that he was with me, yeah, me. Singing, I love rock and roll. Swing like a dime in the jukebox, baby. I love rock and roll. Swing like a dime and dance with me. Ow! Smile so I got up.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
But you say he's just a friend.
Oh, you're my best friend. 77 WABC. Oi!
I don't care what stupid things he says, and he says plenty of stupid things. And I don't care what selfish action he partakes in. None of it can take away from the fact that this is one of the most talented, if not the most talented player to ever play the position. He has that kind of ability. But they somehow got to keep him on the right path, which is not an easy thing to do. He's all over the place. One day he's, the vice president on the independent ticket. The next day he's making some stupid comments about something he knows nothing about. I don't know what goes on in his head. I don't even want to know what goes on in his head. I just want him to come here and play quarterback. Just do it for a single season. Let's see how it works out. Where you put your heart and your soul and your mind and what's left of your body into that job and just be a quarterback for one damn year. That's all.
That's the great Mike Francesa, Bet Rivers podcast. And this is Ringo Starr. Ringo turned 84 yesterday, I believe. Is that right, Lou?
That is it. He is the oldest.
How old is McCartney now? 82?
82.
Yeah. And the other two, of course, are dead, Harrison and Lennon. So Ringo, the oldest living member of the Beatles, turned 84 yesterday. This is a great song. And Francesa there talking about Aaron Rodgers. So for folks that are getting ready for football, because many are, if you're interested, both the Jets out in, I guess the Jets are in Florham Park. Is that right? In New Jersey. And the Giants, who hold their practices right next to their own stadium, the Quest Diagnostic Center, both the Jets and the Giants open their training camps 16 days from today. 2 weeks from Wednesday, July the 24th, both the Jets and the Giants, they both break around August 22nd. And at that point, they'll hold a couple of joint sessions in practice. But before you know it, they're going to be football. And talking about sports, today is a huge day for the Rosenberg family. Huge, because my son Gabriel, who is getting up right about now, will have day one of a full week of the Bruce Beck broadcasting camp. Bruce Beck is a tremendous guy and a great sports guy, and has been doing the 6 and 11 o'clock news, maybe just 11 o'clock, I'm not sure, for NBC locally, Channel 4 for a long time. And even when Mike Francesa had that Sunday night sports wrap-up of the weekend, when Mike wasn't there, he would have Bruce Beck fill in. So Bruce has been a mainstay with sports in this city for, again, over 3 decades. And he's got this great broadcasting camp. And every year he's got people like Mike Breen, David Wright, John Starks, all these great local athletes that come to speak to the kids. And the kids actually learn how to do play-by-play. In fact, Ian's son, Noah Eagle, who's a legitimate star now, he went to that camp. So Gaby starts today. It's in New Rochelle. I believe he's getting picked up at about 7:30 this morning. And we want to thank the great Bruce Beck, again, a local legend here in New York, for the camp, helping out all these kids and possibly possibly making Gabriel Rosenberg's dream come true. Pretty cool, right, guys?
That is cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Bruce Beck is great, actually.
Years ago, my daughter went to a camp in upstate New York. She was a kid, and it was called Brookwood Camps, and that was owned by the Fiedler family. Former Dolphin and Jet quarterback Jay Fiedler, his brother Scott, his late great father Kenny. That camp is now out of business. So this one here, Bruce Beck's camp, is really the 5-star, the gold star of all the broadcasting camps. So Gaby starts day 1 later on today. And then, as if that's not enough, later on tonight, when Gaby gets home, we've got game 3 for the Blue Bears. Now, we know we suffered a horrible loss in game 2. Blew an 18-point lead. My guys could not get past the full court press. And we got a hard game tonight. This guy, Bird, he's a psycho. He's one of my best friends. I love him. He's been coaching there a long time and has had a lot of success on those courts. And his team against mine. And according to Bird, I wasn't in town this weekend. The couple of days on the beach in Rockaway, according to him, all the talk was Bird versus Sid coming up on Monday night. So tonight at 7, his 2-0 club takes on my 1-1 club. And again, I feel badly about that last loss. So we'll see if we can rebound tonight. Gabriel will be out there as well at 7 o'clock. We got the Mangoes coming again, a whole big rooting section. So a huge day for Gabe. Bruce Beck Sports Broadcasting Camp, and then a big basketball game on 129 later on tonight.
This is a long day. This is a crazy day.
Long day. He'll be up in about 7 minutes. I think Mommy's waking him up at 6:45, Danielle. And the game will be over about 8:30 tonight. That's a long day.
Wow, you got to have a pregame nap.
I know. We can sleep on the way home in the car with Danielle. And then the camp actually ends on Friday with the whole camp going to the Mets and Rockies game at Citi Field on Friday night. That's how the Bruce Beck camp ends. 5 days, yeah, right? Learning how to broadcast. And then they go to the Met-Rocky game on Friday. And that brings me to this. I go to Milwaukee Saturday. I come home after my show the following Friday, and right now I am efforting and getting very close to 4 tickets next Friday night at the aforementioned Citi Field. You ready for this?
No.
Not for the Mets, for the Foo Fighters.
Wow.
Come on, Louie.
You think they're going to do their hits?
No. Well, they're going to do Blowing in the Wind.
Yeah, they
and
will.
Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah. And it'll probably be better than what Dylan would do.
I'm sure. That would be funny, though, if the Foo Fighters did Dylan's hits, but Dylan won't.
While he screams it. That is funny.
Sid's out there in the audience. He was very disappointed with Dylan, so this one's for you. Yeah.
What's happening in New York?
It's my guy's name again from Nirvana, the lead singer. I love him. David, Foo Fighters.
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl, yes. Very good, Lewis. Very good. All right, so we got a whole bunch of great guests stopping by. Congress is back today. This was a story I saw last week. Bette Midler, the great Bette Midler, she wants Joe Biden to arrest, this is a true story, she wants Joe Biden to arrest the Republican House members because, according to Bette, based on the Supreme Court ruling for Donald Trump last week, Joe Biden has absolute power. He can do whatever he wants, and she wants him to arrest Anthony D'Esposito and other Republican House members. Did you see that story, Noam?
I did.
I mean, she's really completely out of her mind.
Well,
no?
she's always been out of her mind. This is not new.
No, I know. This is a real leap. No, arrest all the Republican House members?
Yeah, that's going to happen.
So we'll talk to Anthony coming up next. And before we get to traffic with the great Joe Nolan was part of a Trump boat parade yesterday. Is that right? Did I see that?
Well, I saw it, too, and we were on that text.
Nicely done there, Joe Nolan.
Wow.
Before we get to Joe, though, it is time for the 77 WABC clip of the day. Listen to the Cats Round Table with my good buddy John Catsimatidis. He'll be on at 8:15 this morning. That's where common sense prevails, always telling both sides of the story every Sunday morning starting at 8, or listen anytime on the 77 WABC app. Here, John talks with NYPD Chief of Patrol, my good buddy, John Schell.
You know, summer is the summer, right? More people are out, warm weather. We know where to go historically. We know how to move fast. Crime we're going to keep down. We'll keep the shootings down. We're at 3-year lows in shootings. So it's just a matter of keeping the eye on what's going on 24/7, moving quickly. Quality of life, like we talk about that, John, all the time. Those smoke shops, those mopeds, drinking and driving, crime. It's a big to-do, but we're a pretty good team, and we're going to do our best to hold it down.
This is Sid on Sports. Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Ellick here with your bottom of the hour sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Fun to do under you. So the world's best built boilers start here on the diamond in Pittsburgh, where Francisco Lindor hit a 2-run single with 2 outs in the 9th inning against Aroldis Chapman for his 3rd hit of the game, rallying the Mets to a 3-2 win over the Pirates yesterday. Pittsburgh's Nick Gonzalez had a 2-run single in the 8th off Edwin Diaz to give Pittsburgh a 2-1 lead. But the Mets rebounded and again reached 500 at 44 and 44 overall. Chapman walked Frankie Alvarez leading off the 9th and gave up Harrison Bader's single. Then he threw called third strikes past Mark Vientos and Luis Torres threw a wild pitch and walked Jose Iglesias, and then Lindor pulled a 1-1 slider into left field to reach for the 4th time on an afternoon that included 2 singles, a double, and a walk. Diaz, now 3-1, pitched a perfect 9th after he came in with 2 outs in the 8th, walked pinch hitter Joshua Palacios, and allowed Gonzalez a single on a first pitch slider for his 5th blown save in 13 chances. He got a save Saturday in his first appearance after a 10-game suspension for using a banned foreign grip. Brendan Nimmo gave the Mets a 1-0 lead in the 8th with a 2-out RBI double off Colin Holderman. Mets starter Sean Manaea allowed 2 hits in 6 innings, striking out 6 and walking 3. Pirate starter Luis Ortiz gave up 4 hits in 6 innings. Up next, Christian Scott will take the mound for 12:35 p.m. first pitch against the Pirates, concluding the 4-game series opposite Pittsburgh righty Mitch Keller. As for the Yankees, they dropped yet another series over the weekend in Boston, complete with a 3-0 shutout loss at the hands of the Red Sox in yesterday's series finale. Rafael Devers homered off rookie Luis Gil in the 7th inning and connected again in the 9th, leading the Sox over the Yankees and sending New York to its 15th loss in 20 games. Devers has 16 homers at Yankee Stadium and 28 against New York. He's hitting .463 with 7 homers and 10 RBI in his last 10 games in the Bronx. New York dropped to 13-16 against AL East rivals. The Yankees lost 2 of 3 to the Red Sox and are 0-6-1 in their last 7 series, starting with when they lost 2 of 3 at Fenway Park from June 14th to the 16th. The Yankees were shut out for the 6th time this season, but the first time since April 29th. Gil lost his 4th straight outing after opening the season 9-1. He entered with a 14.90 ERA in his previous 3 outings, struck out 9 and walked none for the first time in his big league career, allowed 1 run or fewer for the 11th time. Up next for the struggling Yanks following an off day today, the lefty Carlos Rodon will take the hill in the first game of a 3-game set at Tampa Bay starting tomorrow night. And finally, checking in on our Staten Island Ferryhawks, they collected 16 hits and an 8-7 win over the York Revolution, to remain unbeaten at 2-0 to start the second half of their regular season. After an off day today, they'll travel to Lancaster to open up 3-game set against the Barnstormers starting tomorrow night. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Find a dealer near you. They are the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
This is Greg Kelly for Priority Gold. What does it mean to be America's precious metals dealer? It means that you're in touch with the hearts and minds of those who love this country, value our freedom, and want to protect the future. Priority Gold is that precious metals dealer. They've helped thousands of Americans back their retirement with solid gold and silver. Call Priority Gold at 888-506-6439. Receive free shipping, free storage, a free investment guide, and one of the best purchase experiences in the industry. Call now or go to PriorityGold.com.
Hi, it's Lou Dobbs for Priority Gold, America's precious metals dealer. These are volatile times with high inflation, soaring debt, wars on multiple continents, and rising financial stress. Central banks are buying gold to diversify their reserves, so are many Americans. Call Priority Gold and find out how precious metals can help you diversify your portfolio. They're highly rated and happy to help. Call 1-866-303-6357 or get a free gold guide at PriorityGoldGuide.com. That's PriorityGoldGuide.com.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning. 77 WABC.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content
Beneath My Wings, Bette Midler. This is a great song and a great movie. I cried this movie like I did during Brian's song in terms of endearment. When Barbara Hershey died at the end of this movie, I was a mess. Beaches. And I always liked Bette Midler. Bette and Barry Manilow pretty much started together. But it turns out she's an animal. She's just an absolute Democrat, loser, liberal, filthy animal. So the singing is great. She also made me cry in her movie Stella. I've always liked her, but now I don't like her. And now she really overstepped her boundaries because according to Politico last week, she wants Joe Biden to arrest with his new powers from the Supreme Court after the Trump ruling last week. She wants Biden to arrest all my friends in the House, all the guys I'll be spending a lot of time with in Milwaukee, including the great congressman out of Long Island, my good buddy Anthony D'Esposito. So, Ant, I have no idea how you felt about Bette Midler before, but she wants Joe Biden to arrest you. Any thoughts?
I think Bette Midler should stick to singing, beaches, and making people like you cry, and leave the politics and government to the adults.
It is funny, though, the overreaction from the Democrats, and the Supreme Court 6-3 did the right thing. He doesn't have absolute immunity, but he certainly deserves the amount of immunity they gave to him, and they go completely crazy, the Democrats. Now you can kill people like, Sotomayor. I mean, I'm sorry, I said this last week, I very rarely unload on Supreme Court justices. I say that for the politicians. But Sotomayor, that was embarrassing last week.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things that has been said over the last few days that are embarrassing. I think, it started with the disaster of a debate, and they've just been imploding ever since. I mean, there's articles being written today. There was a couple released yesterday. They're already preparing for losses and the devastating effects that they're going to see on fundraising, and they're just trying to change course and blame it on someone else. But what the real issues are is, forget the bad debate. Democrats were already losing because they're on the wrong side of every issue. They're on the wrong side of the border. They're on the wrong side of the economy. They're on the wrong side of foreign policy. And in this 118th Congress, it hasn't always been pretty. We've talked about this. There's been chaos. But you know what? At the end of the day, Republicans are fighting for the American people and for our allies. And that's what people care about. We're fighting to secure our border. We're trying to make sure that over more of the 10 million people that Joe Biden has already let into this country aren't going to cause harm to the American people. That's the work that we're doing. While Democrats, I'm not even sure what it is that they're focused on because they're not unified. They're all over the place. And now they're panicking and trying to say, we don't know what to do. We're not going to be able to raise money at the top of the ticket when we all know listen, candidates throughout this country, especially the Democratic candidates, they do raise money. Why? Because they get dark money from people like George Soros and the rest of these lunatics who are peddling their progressive anti-America policy.
Yeah. They also got a ton of celebrity money, George Soros and George Clooney. They got a ton of money. But you say a ton of money, it took Joe Biden 2 fundraisers with the likes of Clooney, Obama, and Clinton to raise as much money as Trump did in one night down in Florida. But I do want to get to Congress because you guys are back today after another lengthy vacation, Tone. And so is it fair to say that much of the discussion in the People's House today will be about the aforementioned Joe Biden staying or stepping down?
Yeah, I think, for the first time, I guess, or for very few times this Congress, the mainstream media has always tried to paint the Republicans as the chaos and the ones that aren't unified. And I think that we're seeing since last Thursday that the Democrats are completely imploding. I think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries aren't sure what to say. They have pretty high-ranking members of their party. I mean, yesterday you had a couple of the ranking members of some of our committees flat out come out and say, listen, Joe Biden can't be on the ballot. I mean,
you had more than a couple. You had four senior House members, two of them from New York, stupid Jerry Nadler and Joe Morelli, combined that with the 5 House Democrats that stepped out last week. And now you've got 9, including 4 senior members, House Democrats, that want Joe Biden to step down. Are you surprised that many House Democrats, including senior members of those committees, stepped out and did that?
I am surprised. I mean, we're always criticized for people saying, well, the Democrats always stick together. Well, it's clear that they don't. Now it's a circular firing squad, and they're out to, pretty much go after their own. But I think what's important, and one of the things that I'm going to be, talking about when I get to Capitol Hill in a couple hours, especially when the press asks me, is that, this has been a cover-up from the Democrats all along. We know that Joe Biden didn't have the capability to be president of the United States. We know that he wasn't making the decisions. We realize that the people making the decisions for Joe Biden have failed the American people. And that's why he has been deemed, and not just by Republicans and conservatives, but by polls done throughout this country as one of the, if not the worst president this country has ever seen. And what's happening now is that the people who would normally come out and vote in the presidential election are probably getting fed up, and they're definitely not going to come out and vote for Joe Biden. And the polls showed it. The polls showed it before the debate, and the polls will show it after the debate. In places like New York, places like my district, where, again, we're outnumbered. Democrats outnumber us in my district by 70,000, across the county by 140,000. We're winning. Republicans are winning because we have good candidates, we have good leadership, and we're on the right side of the issues. And that's going to continue. We are going to win in places that we have historically not done well with President Trump at the top of the ticket. You
and Trump in the same boat there in Nassau County in your district, and I did see you post something on Facebook. I have to admit I did shed a tear. I try to stay away when I'm on vacation from a lot of the news. People text me stuff about politics. I don't even answer. But I did notice on your Facebook page there were pictures of the funeral for the police officer, that beautiful young lady who was killed by that drunk driver inside the nail salon in, I believe it was Suffolk County. Regardless, it was Long Island. So that was another very emotional day on Long Island. It feels like we just buried Jonathan Diller. Now you have this story.
Yeah, listen, it's terrible. When you have members of law enforcement who go to work every day and they get that uniform on, they pin their shield on their chest, and they go out to do the right thing for the people that they're serving and live out their oath. There's that inherent danger. But when you have a young, successful police officer who's just having some downtime, getting ready for a weekend with her loved ones and family, and her life is taken by, just such tragedy. And it's not just her, it's all those that were taken in that nail salon. It's just terrible. It's things that we don't want to see. And it really takes a moment. And I'm sure you would agree, especially after the weekend you had, that you really got to be thankful for the people in your life that you love and that you have.
That is well said, Anthony. And yes, 4 people did die that day. And you were a cop for over 2 decades, so you can certainly appreciate what that young lady did in her short life. This is Congressman Anthony D'Esposito on his way to Capitol Hill today. Congress is back. And then a week from today, you'll be with me. I'll be in Milwaukee. I'll be doing all 5 shows next week from the Republican National Convention. We will officially nominate Donald Trump as our presidential choice coming up next Thursday night. What do you expect from Milwaukee?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think that it is, especially after the week that they're going to have in D.C. and across this country, trying to pick up the pieces of the mess that Joe Biden and the Democrats have made. I don't believe that we're going to have a solution or a resolution to their problem by the end of the week. And I think that the Republicans are going to go into this convention in Milwaukee on Sunday in a unified front, ready to nominate President Trump and hear who his vice president will be. And I think that it will be a perfect opportunity for Republicans throughout the country, especially those members of Congress who, again, over the last 16, 18 months, there's no question. There's been stories about what has looked like chaos. Perhaps we weren't all on the same page.
What do you mean look like chaos? When Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz are knocking down Kevin McCarthy's door, that's not perception. That was reality.
Yeah, and the American people saw that, and I think that this is an opportunity for them to see that their party is unified. We're unified throughout the country. We're going to stand together. We're going to cast our our votes for those of us that are delegates for President Trump. And we're going to come out of that convention stronger, more unified than ever, and carry the message to the American people, the issues that matter, the stuff that people talk about. You know, when you were with your family and friends this weekend on a well-deserved vacation, you sit around the dinner table, you sit around in the backyard, you talk about the stuff that matters most, why everything costs more, the craziness that's going on the southern border, the attacks on our law enforcement, the fact that the economy, where we're being held at, looking at as weak on a global scale, obviously important to us. You know, what's gone on in Israel and the fact that Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden and so many Democrats have completely undermined the state of Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Those are the issues that we need to focus on. We need to make sure that Democrats don't try to steer us off course to issues that I'm not saying aren't important, but they aren't the most important issues to the voters. And that's where we were successful in Nassau County and on Long Island over the last 3 years. We stuck to the script. We knew what was important. Why? Because, you know, you were kidding a few minutes ago. We had a break this week, but it wasn't a break that you weren't working. I was out there every single day, out in the community, talking to people, getting an understanding of what matters most, going to events, going to the Boy Scouts, the chambers, the Kiwanis, because that's where you hear what matters most to the people. And if you're not listening to them, well, then you're not going to be an effective legislator. And I think that we here in New York especially are, and I am confident that all of us that were elected in 2022 are going to be reelected, and I think that we have a really good chance to pick up some seats, not only in the third, but upstate with Allison Esposito.
Oh, yes. We love Allison Esposito. Of course, she served as Lee Zeldin's lieutenant governor during his impressive run where he got edged out by Kathy Hochul. And she's also, like you, a former cop and a tough cop. So on the way out, I know you made mention of a couple of minutes ago, you don't think anything will be resolved this week. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's all said and done. Anthony, do you think Joe Biden will be the Democrat nominee come August 29th?
I do. I think that he has made it his business over the last, 5 decades to monetize his position in power, whether it was a senator, whether it was vice president, now president of the United States. And I don't see his family or his inner circle allowing him to give that up.
And there's nothing these other people can do. It doesn't matter how many House Democrats. You know, if I had $1 for every person that stops me and says, you know who runs this country, Barack Obama, I'm not even sure that's true. I think Barack certainly has a say, but I think sometimes people tend to overstate how much say he's got. But the point is, no matter what these people say, if Joe Biden does not want to step down, he ain't stepping down, right? That's it.
Absolutely. And the other thing that's important for us, and obviously you do a great job at it every single day, but we need to make sure that our voters, that the people who believe in the change that this country needs, that they don't get complacent by the chaos and the mess that the Democrats are creating. Because I've already heard it from people. I've been, Trump's got it. This is all. It's far from over. This election is far from done. We all know what can happen, what can go on. We need to make sure we stick to the script, stick to the issues, and get every single person out to vote. I mean, think about it. This week alone, we passed it through committee. I'm on the House Administration Committee. It was something that came through committee. It was announced a few months back at actually Mar-a-Lago by the Speaker Johnson and President Trump. Just making sure that the people who vote in the election are American citizens, and the Democrats are already whipping against it. I mean, that tells you the story of this entire country right now. So we need to make sure that we keep unified, we keep on message, and we keep pounding the issues home that matter to the American people. And if we do that on election night, we are going to see victories all across this country, but specifically in New York, and we will be electing Donald Trump president of the United States again.
All right, baby. I love what I'm hearing. Again, like you said, though, Election Day, a little under 4 months away. That's a long time, 4 months. So like you said, don't be complacent. Go out there and make sure you are banging the message. Anthony D'Esposito, great job. Safe trip to D.C. today. And I will see you in Milwaukee coming up next week. Thank you so much.
I'll see you there, my friend. Be well.
You too. That's the great Congressman Anthony D'Esposito as we wrap up our great hour number one. Good to be back, folks. I know you're glad we're back. Hour number two about to come your way. We got a couple of great guests stopping by, including famed defense attorney Arthur Aidala and the great one, Curtis Sliwa. Don't forget, Geraldo Rivera makes his return. He's coming up at 8:45. Hour number two on this Monday morning about to come your way.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Yeah, I know what the answer is. The great Bob Dylan. God forbid he did this song too. Nothing. None of, he didn't do this one. Didn't do like a Rolling Stone. An hour of Bob Dylan. And like my gorgeous wife Danielle said, we'll never get that hour back. Anyway, a lot of folks, when they stop me on the streets, whether it's Brooklyn or Queens or upstate New York, they love Curtis. I mean that sincerely. Oh, they love this segment. They get up, some of them, at 7 o'clock in the morning, 2 hours before they have to, just to hear Curtis and Sid. Curtis gets big ratings on the Rip and Read, noon to 1 every weekday afternoon. Hosts overnight weekends. I want to thank Curtis and John for filling in for us last week. Whenever he's on, he's the man. And Curtis, I don't know if you've ever been to Bethel Woods, have you?
Yes, I've been up there, gone through that whole area. You know, through where your mom is, Sullivan County,
sure.
The Irish Alps.
Were you there at Woodstock in 69?
No.
No, that's not your deal, right? No, you're a disco guy.
I was working for my Uncle Jimmy Scavone that summer, delivering meat, making a sausage. I was a sausage maker, you know, pumping it out there. And it was raining. That whole summer it was raining.
Yes, it was. And Woodstock, they got clobbered with thunder and lightning. So Friday night, it was raining. And I spoke to Eric Francis, the CEO, and I said, is this going to happen? And he said, Sid, that's the beauty of this, right? I mean, you talk about Woodstock 1969. It was about rain. So he looked at it like this is a tribute to Woodstock. It did not rain Saturday. It was really very, very humid for upstate New York. But, yes, we got rain on Friday, too.
But you mentioned Woodstock, 69. Grace Slick of the Jefferson Airplane. She actually retired and said because all rock and rollers over the age of 50 look stupid and should retire.
She said that?
Yes. Grace
That's not fair. A lot of them do.
Yeah, the way your overview of what you saw, the big three.
Yes.
Right, when you trash Bob Dylan.
Trashed him.
By the way, let me give props on two aspects of Bob Dylan's career. When he came from, I think it was Hibbing, Minnesota.
Very good. Very good.
Nowhere in Minnesota. One of your peeps.
Yeah, him and Prince from Minnesota.
Yeah, the first thing he wanted to do when he came to New York was to go see his hero, Woody Guthrie. This land is your land. This land is my land. You know, great folks singing. Communist, by the way, lived in Coney Island. But it was in Greystone, this psychiatric facility. He also ended up in Creedmoor. And Bob Dylan said, no, I'm going to see my hero. And he went to Greystone and sat with him. So I give him props for that. Number two, he was a Lubavitcher for a time. 770 Eastern Parkway there. He was a follower of Menachem Schneerson, the Rebbe. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I knew he was Jewish, but I had no idea how involved he was. None of these things change the fact that at 84 years old, he needs to go home and stay home.
Yes, absolutely.
But I got to tell you, what spits in the face of what you just said was Willie Nelson, 91 years old, very, very sick just a week ago. He was great.
All right, but he had to have his sons there to bookend him.
Yes.
And then you had the chance to finally ask Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, what were the backward messages of Stairway to Heaven? You had that chance. You never asked him.
No chance because, and Lou is right about this, if you know anything about Robert Plant, who performed with Alison Krauss, which he does often, unless he's performing with Led Zeppelin, he won't even bring them up.
No.
Like, these guys are nuts. They're nuts. I couldn't even get some honey drippers.
By the way, you know who actually wrote the song Stairway to Heaven?
I do.
Who?
Paul Anka.
Nope. Paul Anka. Canadian, Lebanese, right? No. Neil Sedaka.
Yeah, I was going to say Neil Sedaka.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
close.
sure you
He's
were.
close to Paul Anka.
Sure you
It's the same genre.
Sure
Is that
you
not
were.
the same genre, Paul Anka and Neil Sedaka?
Oh, yeah, and
now,
Neil,
what
Neil
high
Diamond.
school? What high school did Neil Sedaka go to?
Oh, wow, man. Now you got
I'll
me.
give you a hint.
Lincoln?
Bang. I was going to give you Lou Gossett Jr.,
Oh,
Lee
I love Lou
Mazzilli, and
Gossett
Harvey
Jr.
Rosenberg.
Oh, yes.
All went to Lincoln.
Oh, stinking Lincoln there. But anyway, Neil Diamond, right? Sweet Caroline. I hate the Red Sox, although, man, what is happening to the Yankees?
It's the same thing every year. They start the season 40-1, and then they don't win.
Yep. But Neil Diamond gave an interview in which he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and he said, I didn't want to accept it for 2 years. I did not want to accept it. And then I'm having fatigue, memory loss. I'm trembling a little bit. This was back, I think, in 2020. He acknowledged that I have Parkinson's disease. I can't do what I used to do.
4 years ago already.
Yeah.
Because he's performed many times since.
But not at the same, understand, constantly.
Yeah.
So it is a reminder that it's clear that President Joe Biden has Parkinson's disease. I think by now people are understanding when they look at him. He shows all the symptoms. And the fact that they had the number one expert in the world on Parkinson's disease come to the White House, meet with the White House doctor who tends to Joe Biden, and they had an all-day-long discussion. So come on now already. Although, isn't it interesting that Gerald Nadler, the whale, who needs to take a cognitive test himself all the times he falls asleep, he stumbles, mumbles, he doesn't show up when he's supposed to be there, that he found him not to be cogent and compelling.
Isn't that funny?
Gerald the Whale Nadler.
So what do you think, Curtis? You've been around the political game for a long time. And you're right, Joe Biden certainly, unarguable, has physical issues. There's no question. To me, and I've been very adamant about this, the physical liabilities for Biden don't outweigh the fact that he's been a horrible president. His mental acuity, his decision-making, all brutal. Do you think Joe Biden steps down or he's the candidate come November?
Look, nobody is mentioning this. He's being set up by a woman who set up everybody in California her entire career from the time she was a prosecutor in San Francisco County, Attorney General, State of California, Sacramento, U.S. Senator, California. Kamala Harris.
You think she's setting him up?
What? She was in New Orleans. She gave a 30-minute speech at the Essence Magazine conference. Mentioned Joe Biden 30 seconds. Talked about how we got to go after Trump. Talked about how, that abortion is the issue. Housing, went through a whole litany of issues. She can trigger the 25th Amendment. The vice president alone. All she needs to do is get a majority of Joe Biden's cabinet members. And Pete Buttigieg wants to be vice president in the worst way.
Well, the rumors are that it'll either be Gretchen Whitmer or Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg as the VP for Kamala Harris.
Of course. So if he's lobbying his fellow cabinet members, the only one who won't go along is Mayorkas, because then he goes to jail for what he's done at the border. But you could easily see them make a deal.
I could see it. I'm not sure she's setting them up, but I do want to get to...
Well, notice they're all coalescing around her. And by the way, when you speak of Kamala Harris...
Yes.
Oh, my God, you mentioned my all-time favorite, Joan Jett and the Black Hearts.
That's your favorite?
She lives in Long Beach.
I know she does.
She lives in Long Beach. I thought for sure. I said, Joan, I love you. She goes, yeah, but I don't love you. It's not because I don't love you, Curtis. I just don't go that way.
She didn't say that.
Well, in my dreams, she did. Joan Jett, right. And you mentioned...
I think she turned 79 a couple of weeks ago, and she did all three of those songs.
I don't think she's 79.
I think she is.
I doubt it.
Lou, look it up, okay?
She doesn't look 79. And by the way,
she did take a shot at Donald Trump, which I could do without.
Yeah, you mentioned Bad Reputation, Crimson and Clover, right. I Love Rock and Roll, but you didn't mention my all-time favorite, I Hate Myself for Loving You.
Oh, she played that too.
Oh, my God.
That's a great song.
Oh, yeah, because how many of us have been in that situation?
I'm not even close. She's only 65.
Yeah, you see?
She looks closer to 80. I'm not going to lie to you.
She's a Baltimore Oriole fan.
I know, and right now the Orioles have a 3-game lead over your Yankees.
And she lives in Long Beach, where the great Bernard McGurk's family.
Yes.
And he get on the board. I wonder if he ever met Joan Jett out there.
I'm sure he did not.
Oh, my God, but imagine. Joan, I love you. Yeah, but I don't go that way.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely.
1,000%
She's got the tats on her. If you look at the tats, come on.
I know, a lot of tats. I do want to move to the mayor, though, because we did a lot of conversations upstate about the mayor.
My.
Yeah, so the only text, I got a lot of texts from people the last couple of days while I was away. They still want to talk politics. I want no part of it. I don't even answer them. But I answer you, obviously. And you sent me a story, and I made an error this morning. I said in the story that Eric Adams' approval rating is all the way down to a dismal 28%. And you said to me, not even that high.
No.
What is it now?
It's 24%.
24%.
He doesn't even get a quarter of these are Democrats. This is a slingshot poll. This is all Democrats. And because of Frank Morano, in a hypothetical race.
Because of Frank Morano?
Yeah, because remember, he pushed for ranked choice voting.
He did.
It's like when you look at the French election, they have the first vote and the second vote. Very much along those lines. Frank not only went out and spoke on behalf of ranked choice voting, the people in New York City passed it, an initiative and referendum. Eric Adams cannot win his own Democratic primary because all the liberal, socialist, progressives, there could be 8 of them. They'll do the ranked choice voting, which is like bingo on a card. My first choice, second choice, third choice. None of them will put Eric Adams on. So he will ultimately lose. He cannot win a Democratic primary.
Well, I brought up another name. I don't know about the ranked choice voting, but I do know this based on a poll you told me a while ago. And again, anecdotal, the people I talk to on the streets. I haven't met one person that would vote for Eric Adams over former Governor Andrew Cuomo. They all tell me the same thing. Yeah, he's killed the people in the nursing homes, this and that. But this city needs help, and we believe that Andrew Cuomo is a stronger leader than Eric Adams. So it looks like it's going to be Curtis Sliwa versus Andrew Cuomo.
I don't mind that, but the problem is he also faces ranked choice voting. The liberal, progressive, socialists will get into a second round, a third round, and nobody will end up voting for Eric Adams or Cuomo on ranked choice voting.
But if Cuomo destroys everybody, the ranked choice voting is not going to be.
He's not going to destroy everybody.
You're telling me Brad Lander is going to put up a fight with Jumaane Williams?
Let me tell you something. When I was at the Travis Annual 4th of July parade, 115 straight years, longest in the nation in Staten Island, he was announced as being there. I don't think he showed up, but that's the signal he's running. Anyone who ever runs shows up at the Travis 4th of July parade. Scott Stringer, when he ran, suddenly discovered Staten Island. Eric, when he ran, suddenly discovered Staten Island. They only discover Staten Island when they want to run.
I know. And listen, we've been saying for how long? Now, look, of course, you know that I've met him once or twice. So we've been saying for months, even his best friends, he ain't running unless Eric Adams gets put in prison.
No.
You're wrong. He's running.
He would stab him in the back in a heartbeat. You think these politicians have any loyalty? Come on.
No.
They're your friend. It's worse than the mob, where you go out to have a meal, and then they say, I'll drive you home, and the next thing they do, put 2 bullets in the back of your head, and they don't even bury you.
And the worst part about that is that he's going to face that Cuomo from his own party, and so are you. Because as far as I can see, I feel like Sid Rosenberg and Curtis Sliwa are on an island. I haven't seen a lot of Republicans step up and say, hey, Curtis, let's do this. Now, are they waiting? What's the story with that?
I welcome them. Let's come on. Let's get into the primary pit. You know, some of them are my worst enemies. They're worse than Democrats to me.
Give me some names.
You know something? Let's put that aside for now.
You know who does like you now? Mike Rendino. I saw him in Rockland County.
Good. About time. But let me ask you this.
Yes.
Let's move from politics to something more important. Because later on today, I'm going to be at Floyd Bennett Field again, trying to stop the illegals from being brought there.
Are you having a rally?
No. But I've got it on word that they're shoving more illegals there. Then I'm going to Reese Park. Then I'm coming over.
Now, what part of Reese Park? Would it be on the gay side or the naked side?
Well, remember, they're doing so much beach nourishment because the sand goes out. That there's no sand left. I think they closed Bay 1, 3, 4. I got to see it for the first time. And then I'm coming out there because if you can't coach your team out of the full court press that your adversary is going to put on you, Rick Pitino style, when he was at the University of Kentucky, University of Providence, it's going to be a full court press. You're going to need to resign tonight on the court, or I will get the Irish Roman Catholic parents to remove you on religious grounds because you told them you were the second coming of Red Holzman. Yeah. They knew Red Holzman. You're no Red Holzman, and you're no Dick or Al McGuire who came from the Rockaways. New York Knicks all-time legends.
Yes, they are. All. Look, you're right. We blew an 18-point lead that second game. We come in tonight 1-1. The opposing coach, Bird, who loves you too, by the way, he's a legend in this league. He knows that my team does not handle the press well, so the pressure's on. I'm losing sleep. Like, I know now, when Bill Parcells wins, and I'll compare myself to Parcells, but when he wins a Super Bowl and walks off because of the pressure, I can see it. I've coached 2 basketball games for my kid, and the pressure is overwhelming.
Well,
overwhelming.
Let me suggest to you, because you're never going to be able to get out of a full court press.
How do you know that?
Because I saw you standing out.
I've got to play.
I understand, but you were like out at center court. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're preening there. Oh, my God, what a metrosexual here. You were manscaping right on the court. People were like ready to vomit. All you got to do after you lost tonight, because you're going to lose, and I know the wise guys are on the sideline. They're already taking action on this. Sid can't beat the full court press. You shake a little bit. You show a little stiffness, you know. You have a little difficult talking, walking. Yeah. I don't have enough dopamine in my, and they'll be screaming, yeah, you're a real dope. But you got to do this. You got to resign.
You're making me sound like Joe Biden. Joe Biden said he had one bad night. Isn't it possible we had one bad half last Monday?
I was there for that.
I know you were.
And so if you have another bad night tonight, which is a guarantee.
It's guaranteed?
Look, where were you? You were up in Bethel. Instead of working the boys, you know how to beat the full court press. Your adversary, you know he was out on the asphalt. He was in, that's right, press him. I'll keep rotating guys in and out.
You know,
Go at the ball.
You're being somewhat facetious, I think, but it's true. The whole discussion on the beach in Bell Harbor and the ponds at Rockaway this weekend, according to the opposing coach Bird, was Bird versus Sid coming up tonight. So I would not be surprised if you're right, Curtis, and they had some like private practice while I'm at Bethel Woods with Joan Jett. These guys are out there, you know, practicing at midnight.
Of course, they're serious in the Rockaways about that basketball. You know that for years. People used to go out there to watch summer basketball and then recruit guys to major colleges all over the United States. Meantime, you're reliving Woodstock. Oh, Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Robert Plant. I will never do the Stairway to Heaven song again. That's because you can't. You're reliving Woodstock. And I'm saying to myself, on the asphalt there in Rockaway, these boys are pounding that basketball while Sid is maxing and relaxing. And you know, all they got to do is get some men and women in the crowd to come up. Oh, Sid, I loved you this morning with Curtis. By the way, can you sign this? Can you sign that? You'll be so distracted. Your boys will be in the huddle saying, Coach, where's the white slate? Oh, no. Go ahead, guys. Take care of it. I'm preening here like the peacock I am because I'm number one, second to none. I got a manscape here. I'm America's number one metrosexual. Kids, do what you can out there. Don't make me look bad. But I have no idea how to get you out of a full court press. Better call up Rick Pitino at St. John's University. Maybe he could come into the summer league here. He is the master of the full court press. He's probably the only guy who can get us to break the full court press. And I'll be there tonight for the tip-off at 7.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
We're going to have a chance to talk about some history in the fall.
With the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select LeBron James.
LeBron James and Bronny James will not only be the first teammates to be a father-son duo in league history. It's the first time it's ever happened, period. Just take me back to New York. What was that moment like for you?
It was very emotional. It was very emotional to hear. I mean, that's been his dream for quite a while. He says he wants to play in the NBA, and then he had an opportunity to talk to his agent, Rich Paul, and Rich asked him what is his ultimate goal in this whole thing, and he said, "I just want to hear my name called." And for it to happen, with us all being together and him being able to hear his name called in the NBA draft, it's like a moment that we will never, ever forget.
Between the lines, to some extent, basketball's going to take care of itself.
Yeah, for sure.
But outside of those lines, he's starting to have some of the same arrows slung at him that you had when you were a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to take for him to withstand that?
I don't know if people really understand Bronny. He doesn't care. I actually cared a little bit when I came in. I wanted people to like me, and some of the things that people were saying about me, it kind of bothered me early on in my career. I let it get to me. Bronny doesn't give a
So this song is part of a great trivia question because, Kashmir, it was stated incorrectly in the iconic teenage angst movie when I was a kid, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Rad was having a discussion with, I forget the other kid's name, Mike Damone, and he told him to put on a certain side of a certain album, and it was the wrong side. Isn't that right, Lou Rufino? I know Aidala are calling it now, but in that movie, that was
Led Zeppelin 4,
right?
Side 2, track 1.
You're a genius. Yeah.
No, it's obviously the wrong album.
It's the wrong one, right? He screwed the whole thing up. But that was LeBron James and his son Bronny James. That whole thing, meeting Shandell Richardson, Sun Sentinel down in Florida, and other writers across the country, and their furious nepotism in the NBA. I talked about this last week. This actually was the reason why I started a TikTok account. My son Gabriel and I started the account, and the first video I did was on this. How ridiculous. Who cares? If it was the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft, that's one thing. But at number 55, you're going to get down on LeBron James? You've seen the contracts in the NBA the last couple of weeks. LeBron himself just got a new 2-year deal, $54 million a year. $54 million. But forget about him for a second. Jason Tatum, I know he won the championship in Boston, maybe the league's best player, but $314 million? You get a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein with the Knicks, who 2 years ago wouldn't be picked up in a game in Marine Park. And he just got a 3-year deal in Oklahoma City, getting paid $29 million a year? I mean, these contracts, Cantavius Pope in Orlando, $23 million a year. Paul George, he's 100 years old, $215 million from the 76ers. And who do you think is in large part responsible for that? LeBron James. Like him or not, he's probably, if you don't include the centers like Jabbar, he's probably the second best player ever after Michael Jordan. So if he wants his team to draft his kid at number 55 overall, who cares? My God. It's silly. But again, when you do sports, this is, what are you going to do? Slow time of year. Jets and Giants, training camp is still 16 days away. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game is next week. I'll be in Milwaukee. The players will be in Texas. So you get 4 days with no baseball. There's literally nothing going on. So we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and LeBron and Bronny. In this job, politically, there's always something going on. And if it's not here, you can go to France. John Catsimatidis was on a couple of weeks ago. He was telling me about how more and more in these European countries, conservatives are winning. Not the case in France, baby. 183 voted for the far, 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 far left, even to the left of Macron in the French parliament over the weekend. The conservatives finished dead last with 143 votes. There's always something going on between Biden, Trump, Milwaukee next week. What's going on in Europe? Never an issue with topics in this genre. So we'll take a short break. When we get back, yes, Trump wants to talk to the judge. We'll tell you why. Plus, what's going to happen with Bob Menendez in New Jersey? All of that with famed defense attorney Arthur Aidala.
Entertaining and informative.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Want to hear a scary stat? Talking about violence in these Democrat cities. The mayor, Eric Adams, here in New York, not that far removed from extolling the virtues of the Chicago mayor. 100 people were shot in Chicago this weekend. 100. 17 resulted in deaths. You keep voting Democrat, folks. All these cities are S-holes, as my friend Trump would say. All of them, including ours. S-holes. You can talk all they want, but we know the truth. Artie Aidala is one of the best attorneys in the world, right up there with Tacopina, 11A, famed defense attorney and good buddy of mine, Arthur Aidala, joining me now. Artie, good morning, buddy. How are you?
First of all, did you do what I asked you to do this weekend?
I don't know.
I gave you specific instructions. I said, do me a favor and do this.
I don't remember.
Know if you did it.
I'm not sure if I did or didn't. What was it?
Please give my regards to your mother.
Of course I did, yes.
All right. I mean, that was a simple one. That was a very, very simple one. And then I hear about these basketball players. I spoke to Lawrence Taylor over the weekend. You know what the big controversy was when, I think after his very first contract, that he was going to be the highest paid player on the Giants, more than guys who had been there for many years, and he'd only been there a year or two, because he was going to get paid $1 million.
Isn't that funny?
$1 million.
I know. No, it's ridiculous.
Of all time.
Yep.
$1 million.
I mean, the good news for Lawrence is he can still demand $30,000 or $40,000 even today at some fakakta golf tournament in Tennessee. But yeah, no, the numbers are just insane. In 40 years, like you said, $1 million, the highest paid player, and now there are guys in the NBA making $213 million who are past their prime. It is really unbelievable.
And who pays it? Schmucks like us.
I know.
From day one, I've been a Barclays guy. I'm a Brooklyn guy, so I picked up a pair of season tickets for the Nets that I've had for, I guess this is my 11th year, and they keep getting worse and worse.
I know that. I mean, you're right.
The ticket prices keep going up and up. I mean, it's hilarious.
Well, why do you keep? I mean, look, a couple of years ago when they had Kevin Durant and James Harden and that Jew hater Kyrie Irving, I get it, but now they traded away their best player, Mikal Bridges, to the Knicks. Why would you even get tickets again? Give them up.
Well, first of all, they re-up you like last February, right? Oh, there's a special deal. If you get last February, you get a free soda every time you come in. And it's a business thing. For me, it's also convenient to my house. It's very easy. And number 3, I'm banned from the Garden because some lady fell and broke her ankle in Madison Square Garden. And we represent her, and your boy Dolan has this policy that you're for law. Dude, this is true. Me, my wife Marianne, and little Arthur, who was 7, we go into Radio City Music Hall. He owns that too. I get through. Arthur gets through. There's my beautiful wife walking through. 6 big guys surround her with an iPad with our website on it. I can see it. I'm now hiding behind a podium. I know what's going on. I'm hiding behind a pole. They're like, are you Marianne Bertuna? And are you a part of this law firm? And you have to leave. And my wife stood there for 15 minutes arguing. Nope. And they wouldn't
No,
even
they
let
had to
her
leave.
herself.
No, I know.
They escorted her out.
He made it very, very clear, if you're an opposing attorney, you can't come to any of his venues. It was in the Post a couple of months ago, so I'm sorry your wife had to go through that. One more quickly, then we'll get to the big news. You mentioned 56. So when Trump came to Wildwood, New Jersey, outside of Donald and my friend Scott Lebedo painting his art, the highlight of that day was the former Giant Super Bowl 25 MVP O.J. Anderson, but mostly Lawrence up on stage, and Lawrence saying he voted Democrat his whole life and, quote, I will never vote for a Democrat again. I've texted 56 20 times since. He hasn't gotten back to me. I'm dying to get him on because he loves Donald Trump. So as great as LT was sacking opposing quarterbacks, I'm more proud of Lawrence Taylor right now, Audie, than ever.
Well, how about this? I have three major clients with major household names in certain circles who are supporting Trump. I got Lawrence. I represent 50 Cent, the rapper, who said he's in for Trump. And then do you remember at the Bronx rally, Trump had the two rappers go up there?
Yes.
Chef G and Sleepy Hollow. Those are my clients.
Didn't they like allegedly involved? They were allegedly involved in some type of shooting or something. No.
Yeah, like a couple of attempted murders. Yeah, I mean they bad guys. But yes, they're up there. They're up there with Trump. So it's absolutely hilarious. But you know the thing is, Lawrence and the president, they golf somewhat regularly.
Yeah.
Within like once a month or something like that.
Yep.
They go back, you would know this better than I do, to the New Jersey Generals.
Correct.
And they had signed Lawrence, and then the Giants bought him back and actually made Lawrence some money doing that.
No, that was a big deal, but Trump still had some big stars on that New Jersey General team. Everybody from Brian Sipe to Herschel Walker to Doug Flutie. Yeah. Both of those guys won Heisman trophies, Walker and Flutie, and they both went to play for Donald Trump in New Jersey. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, discuss Donald Trump. He want to talk to the judge about one of his cases. Also, Bob Menendez and a whole bunch of other good stuff. Famed defense attorney Arthur Aidala. And don't forget, John Catsimatidis, Geraldo Rivera, and Roger Stone still to come.
You are tonight, why I'm by myself, I don't see you. Does it mean you don't love me anymore? Don't pass me by, don't make me cry, don't make me blue. 'Cause you know, darling, I love only you. You'll never know it hurt me so. I'll hate to see you go, don't pass me by. Don't make me cry.
77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Well, you knew that if famed defense attorney Artie Aidala was coming on the show, you're going to get some real good Rolling Stones hang fire right here. Artie, I want to get to Trump. Next Thursday is, this Thursday. What am I talking about? This Thursday, we're just 3 days away from the sentencing. It is a wide consensus now that there ain't going to be no jail time. Every big-time attorney like you I speak to, and clearly the Republicans' National Convention are making plans to be in Milwaukee next week and for Trump to be there and accept the nomination a week from Thursday. So sentencing just 3 days away, but it looks like business as usual for Trump. What do you think?
Okay, so here's the deal. The Supreme Court of the United States came down with this decision that if you watched MSNBC, as I heard Bill O'Reilly talking about a few minutes ago on your station, you would think it's the end of the world as we know it, and it's a kingdom, and it's no longer a presidency. That was a vast exaggeration. What the Supreme Court said was that there are certain duties that the President of the United States has to do based on the Constitution, based on Article 2. such as picking ambassadors, such as being the commander-in-chief. And the Supreme Court says if the president does things in that capacity and it breaks the law, he has immunity. So hypothetically, if President Obama had ordered a strike on some place in Afghanistan and he killed 2 or 3 Americans, President Obama would not be charged with conspiracy to commit murder. He would be immune from that. They also then gave another level that said if the president is acting, and this is the key part for Trump, in his official capacity, there's a presumption that there should be immunity, but it's not guaranteed, and that the trial court, the judge, would have to look at it and determine whether or not he's entitled to immunity or not. What Trump's attorneys are saying, that there were certain actions that were brought out at the trial here in New York City where Trump should have that presumption of immunity, and the judge should look at that now and say and make that determination.
And that's why Trump's attorneys reached out last week, and that's why since we were last on the air last Tuesday, the DA here, that vicious, rotten, half a scumbag, racist Alvin Bragg, decided to now move that sentencing. It's not going to take place this Thursday. Instead, it's been delayed.
Correct. It's been now. Mershad did the right thing. He didn't give them 2 weeks. He gave him 2 months, which is a significant amount.
Wait. You keep saying Mershad. Am I wrong? I could have sworn the reason why that Trump got the delay was because of the DA, not the judge, right?
No. The judge makes the ultimate decision. The DA agreed. The DA did not object.
Right.
Well,
that's the point. So if Mershad would have said delay it, but Bragg would have said no, he'd be there for sentencing on Thursday. But Bragg is
no. The judge has the ultimate decision.
Got it.
So if Trump's lawyer said we want time, and the DA said we're objecting, the judge could have still said, well, I don't care that you're objecting. I'm adjourning it, or vice versa. If the defense said we wanted a German, and the prosecutor said we wanted a German, the judge can say, look, I read the law from the Supreme Court of the United States. I don't think it has any effect on this. I'm not adjourning it. If you want to put in papers beforehand, I'll take a look at them. But my staff and I have read that Supreme Court decision thoroughly and with detail, and we don't think there's anything in there that affects this case, which, by the way, Sid, I think is how the judge is ultimately going to come out on this. He's ultimately going to say, number one, I read it, and I don't think there's anything that applies. And number two, this case was tried before this United States Supreme Court case came down. So I didn't do anything wrong because this case didn't exist when we tried. The Supreme Court case didn't exist when we tried Trump's case. So let the appellate courts deal with it. Look, every judge who takes a verdict is under the obligation and under the pressure to try to maintain that verdict. The last thing that they want to do in any case is disrupt a verdict. And Mershad is going to do that here. He's going to bend over backwards. He's going to let both sides put in their paperwork. Trump's lawyers are going to say the new Supreme Court case entitles him to, at the very least, a new trial without some of the evidence that was entered into, because some of the evidence was when he was in the White House, and they're going to say it was he's got a presumption of immunity, and this evidence should not come in at the trial.
I got it. Right, so that's New York, but now with a couple of minutes to go, Donald Trump's attorneys are reaching out to the judge in the classified documents case based upon the Supreme Court ruling last week, and Trump seems to think this one, too, should basically go away. I believe that they just reached out.
And the one in Washington as well. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, the one in Washington may be even stronger, where that's the whole January 6th thing, because he was the president of the United States at the time January 6th went on, and he could say, listen, I thought what was going on was against the rule of law. One of my obligations as president is to enforce the rule of law. So I was doing that on January 6th when I gave that speech. I didn't know what else was. I didn't tell anyone to riot, and therefore giving a speech on January 6th, they say it's inciting. I'm saying I was acting as president of the United States, enforcing the rule of law. I should be immune. You should dismiss that case as well. The case in Florida, those boxes are moved, I guess, I don't know when. They were moved while he was the president, right after he was the president. So there's some issues there, but he has a very favorable audience down in Florida. That judge seems to be leaning in his favor, whereas the judge in Washington is definitely leaning against him.
Right.
So it's definitely interesting times.
Well, it is funny because I go back to a couple of months ago when these indictments started to pile up, and 3 out of the 4 were going to take place in hostile territory, right? New York, Washington, D.C., too, in New York. And people like you and Judge Napolitano, even Joe Tacopina, were thinking, oh, my God, this could get really bad. And now it looks like, in all seriousness, none of them got bad. Looks like, he's going to skate pretty much free, no?
He's definitely heading in the right direction. What they used to call John Gotti, the Teflon Don. Well, decades later, Donald Trump may be the Teflon Don.
Well, the only difference is there's a difference. John Gotti committed horrible crimes, including murder. And the truth is, what's happening with Donald Trump is fair because in all these cases he did nothing. So he's not really Gotti because Gotti was guilty and Trump's not.
I know. Obviously, I'm totally joking.
Right.
But, it's not easy to escape 4 indictments in 4 different locations. And, don't forget about the Georgia case having fallen apart, with the prosecutor dating the special prosecutor. So, yeah, I think Donald Trump is in decent shape. He's in fantastic shape considering a guy with 4 indictments hanging over his head. And by all accounts, he's blowing this stuff off like it's no big deal. So, we shall see. September 18th, I think, is the new sentencing date.
Okay.
But before that, all paperwork is due by both sides. It may be oral arguments, but I do not expect Judge Merchant to throw this case out based on this particular ruling.
All right, final 60 seconds. Another amazing appearance by the tremendous famed defense attorney, my dear friend Arthur Aidala. Final 60 seconds. Bob Menendez talking about skating. Trump may skate. Menendez did skate once, and the consensus here is that he will not skate again. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they put the guy on who allegedly he accepted the bribes from, and he said, yes, I paid Menendez money. I got him a Mercedes-Benz and gave him some cash so that he would kill an investigation against me. So he testified, and then the person from the Department of Justice testified that said, yes, Menendez called me inquiring about this guy's investigation. So that's pretty rock solid. But in a nutshell, the U.S. Attorney's Office did something that I've never seen done before. I'm not saying it's never been done before, but his lawyer, Menendez's lawyer, went in and spoke to the prosecutors before he was even charged to try to tell them they had it wrong. And they're basically now charging the Menendez with obstruction of justice because they said, listen, your lawyer came in and lied to us, and you got to pay the penalty. He told us you weren't guilty, and we think you are guilty, and so we're adding another charge. That is so heavy-handed of a prosecutor's office to do so. All these prosecutors are way out of control. They want to get their name in the headlines so they can leave the U.S. Attorney's Office and then go to some big law firm and make $800 million a year.
Wow. Artie, as always, an amazing, amazing appearance. Thank you for hopping on today. Did miss you. It's been a couple of weeks. Thanks for today. We'll do it again very, very soon, buddy. Thank you so much.
You're the best. Welcome back.
You're the best. There he is, famed defense attorney Arthur Aidala, breaking it all down. We'll take a short break. John Catsimatidis and Geraldo Rivera coming up this hour. Keep it right here.
Entertaining and informative.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Recommend getting your heart trampled on to anyone. Yeah. I recommend walking around naked in your living room.
Some more Alanis Morissette. Saw her along with Morgan Wade and Joan Jett at the Woods last Friday night. She was great. So according to Jason Miller, Donald Trump may announce his VP choice this week. This is like the third consecutive week they said that. It's silly already. Remember, he was going to introduce the VP choice at the debate. Then it was going to be last week. Now it'll be this week. And they keep talking about the same guys. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. Although Rubio, I don't know how he does it. He's in the same state. They're both in the state of Florida. One would have to change their address. And I don't see Trump doing that anytime soon. So I'm not sure how Marco Rubio is being taken seriously. Either way, he may announce his VP this week. If I had to bet on it, I would say next week when we all get to Milwaukee. John Catsimatidis does two amazing shows on this station all week long, 5 p.m. every weekday. Cats and Cosby with Rita Cosby. And then, of course, the Cats Roundtable, terrific 2-hour show, 8 a.m. every Sunday morning. Joins me at this time every Monday morning, my dear friend, Mr. Red Apple Media, John Catsimatidis. John, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Sid. Welcome back. We're glad you're back. I've never worked so hard in my life.
It's not easy doing a 4-hour radio show by itself, but then to do what you do afterwards, which is run like 10 other companies and come back and do another hour at 5 o'clock, that's an awful lot, John.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but you do what you have to do. But guess what? I'm taking this morning a little bit slow. I haven't left Long Island yet, so you have to do that once in a while.
And listen, you had a great Long Island weekend. I was in upstate New York, but I saw this beautiful picture, John, on 3 different accounts yesterday at a dinner in the Hamptons on Saturday night, which included you, your lovely wife, Margot, Bill O'Reilly, Mark Simone, and I think I'm missing. Oh, and Judge Jeanine Pirro. How about that dinner?
It was a great party. Lolly Weymouth from the family that owns the Washington Post had a birthday party, and she has it every year. And it's the party of the season. There is no party bigger than Lolly's party.
Wow!
And she did a great job. People had a great time, and I'll tell you, it was just one of those nights. It was a great party, and both my kids were there, and that's even better.
That is great. Yep. Now you can't beat that.
Just before that, another friend of mine in Quad had a cocktail party for Governor Ron DeSantis, and he's done a great job. I didn't support him, but he has done a great job in Florida, and I hope he continues to do a great job in Florida.
I couldn't say it better. I didn't support him either. I've been Donald Trump 1,000 miles an hour, as you know, since day one, John, but he is the best governor in the country. Bottom line, he's the best governor in the country. And look, Trump can't do this again. If Trump does win, if he doesn't, it's over. But if he does win, he can't do it again. So DeSantis' time may still come. Did you guys have any one-on-one conversations, you and DeSantis?
We had some very close conversations. He's still governor, and he's going to run for re-election. And there's no term limits, I think, in Florida. So he has no problem
right
there. And we're going to make sure he gets elected. I mean, there's some woke culture DAs down there in Orlando and in Tampa that he wants help with. And I said, look, we support common sense candidates. And if you have some common sense candidates that you want us to support, we'll support them. And that's the important thing. The other big thing, Sid, that happened while you were away, our co-host there, Greg Kelly, did a great interview with the ex-husband of Jill Biden. And for all of those that never heard it, because I know I replayed it once on the Cats Roundtable and Cats and Cosby, and Rita replayed it once, and it's made a lot of news. But for those of us, it's on the website. And what happened, this is 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whenever it was, is whatever Joe Biden was doing those days, he's still doing it. The The name of the ex-husband is Bill Stevenson. Now, all of a sudden, he finds Senator Biden screwing around with his wife, Jill. Well, they separated. She went off with the Senator Joe Biden. But what happens afterwards? Bill Stevenson, the ex-husband, is 8 days late on $8,000 worth of taxes. It's assumed, or it's alleged, he alleges that they got the Department of Justice in Delaware, the Federal Department of Justice in Delaware, to go after Bill Stevenson, the ex-husband, arrest him, put him in handcuffs, and put him away in jail for $8,000, 8 days late. Now, does that sound familiar? What's going on 30 years later?
It sounds exactly like it. I did listen to the interview. I thought Greg Kelly did a tremendous job, and I had no idea about Stevenson and Jill Biden before, so it was a great job by him just researching all of that. And you're right. It sounds exactly the same as what they're doing to Donald Trump today. You go against me, and I'm going to find a way to go after you with the Department of Justice.
What I said in the interview we did with Scaramucci, and we talked about it. We said, look, it happened to Cuomo, and you know the story on Cuomo. The minute he mentions that he's going to run for president in 2024, the knives came out.
Yep.
Eric Adams, the minute he's on his way to Washington to stir up the pot with the other 6 black mayors, the knives came out. As a matter of fact, as the airplane was taking off. So this is all, what they did to President Trump is horrible. And it just, it can't be that you go after your opponent by trying to indict him. It's just, this is third world country stuff.
No, listen, and I'm glad you bring that up because I kind of have this ongoing back and forth with Bill O'Reilly where, he blames a lot of Biden's issues on his physical ailments, his dementia. He doesn't remember where he is, blah, blah, blah. And all that is certainly true. We saw that in the debate. But when I get angry, John, because I feel like people then don't talk about the real issue, which is for 40 plus years, this guy's done nothing. And now you have stated something that's very scary where he's been doing what he did to Trump for the better part of 4 decades. That's my issue. It's not whether or not he's lost his mind. It's when he's had his mind. Every decision he makes has been a poor, if not painful decision.
Well, I tell my Democratic friends, and I have a lot of Democratic friends, that every decision he has made for our country the last 2-3 years, in my opinion, has been very bad for our country.
Yes.
We are running tail. Can you tell me what country trusts us right now? I can't tell you which one.
Well, I can tell you Hamas does.
Yeah.
They trust us.
It's just... Well, there's been elections in France. There's been elections in Great Britain.
Yeah, but I want to stop you. I want to stop you with the France mention because you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, and for folks that don't know, this is John Catsimatidis, and John, you have business interests all over the world, so you're really, really smart. You can talk about what's going on in Europe and all these countries. To see that Macron, his group, got less votes, and certainly the Conservatives got much less votes than the far left in France, were you surprised?
Let me tell you what has happened. I talked to a lot of people in France. A lot of my friends are there. What seems to have happened when the right wing of France seemed to be winning, guess what? The Palestinians and the Islamic forces came out and said, no effing way are we going to allow this to happen. And they came out to vote, and they either abstained or they voted left. And it looks like the left got a lot of votes.
Yep.
And it looks like they're trying, how did the British say, trying to sort things out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So in wrapping this great conversation up, a week from today, John, when you and I are standing inside the home of the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, getting ready for a big convention week.
It's not the Milwaukee Braves anymore?
No. Oh, they moved to Atlanta, but you're on top of it. On a serious note, do you think a week from today Joe Biden will, in fact, be the president of the United States, or do you think, like many are saying today, he will decide to step down this week?
The truth is, nobody really knows. Everybody's speculating. Jill Biden is not going to allow her husband to leave. She wants to be first lady or quasi-president. Jill Biden even enlisted the help of the son, and she says she loves the son and she wants to help him. I don't believe that. The son now moved into the White House and is telling his father, don't resign. So this is, and meanwhile, the long knives are out after Caesar. All the knives are ready to, write down all the names with the long knives being out of all the people you can trust in case you're in a foxhole.
Now, you're right. And there's now been 9 House Democrats, including 4 senior members, 2 from New York, Morelli and Nadler, who want him to step down. One more thing, John, you're a big-time radio host. You've got 2 major shows on this channel. I do the morning show here. And it also came out this weekend that Joe Biden did 2 interviews in Pennsylvania, and the White House actually sent the host the questions before. I can tell you this, I would never do that. Now, do I have to talk to people, including Trump, what we may talk about? Absolutely, but no one has ever told me what I can and can't ask. I would never abide by that, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I would ask, questions in general that they could say to me, we want to talk about this, we want to talk about this, but nothing exact.
Same exact thing with me. Exactly right. Well, listen, my friend, have a safe trip back to New York City. I'm glad you had a big weekend in the Hamptons. It looked and sounded awesome. I love you. I'll see you later on. And we got a big week coming up next week. Thank you so much, John.
Look forward. Take care.
Me too. There he is, the great John Catsimatidis. Does a great job, folks. 2 shows, 2 of them, Katz and Cosby, 5 o'clock every weekday afternoon, alongside Rita Cosby. And, of course, the Katz Round Table comes your way 8 a.m. every Sunday morning. We'll take a short break. Still more to come, including Roger Stone next hour. And Geraldo Rivera makes his return to Sid Friends in the morning. He's coming up in about 15.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Bases loaded, 2 out, top of the 9th. Mets down by a run. And Francisco lines one into left field for a base hit. Gamble is in. Here comes Bader. He will score, and the Mets take the lead. Francisco Lindor with his 3rd hit of the day drives in the tying and go-ahead runs. And the Mets lead 3-2 in the 9th. Big-time hit for Lindor with the Mets down to their final out. And they jump back in front in the 9th. Edwin Diaz will go back out there for the bottom of the 9th. Ground ball right side. Iglesias comes in. And the ball game is over. On the 2nd try, Edwin Diaz seals the deal. Francisco Lindor with the big hit in the 9th. And the Mets have taken 2 of 3 from the Pirates as they pull this one out 3-2.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
about those Mets? Frankie Lindor, the big 2-out hit. Lindor had 3 hits in yesterday's game, and the Mets now back at 500 once again at 44-44. They will finish out their 4-game set against the Pirates later on tonight. Then 2 very winnable series coming up at Citi Field this week for the Mets. They welcome in the Washington Nationals tomorrow, and then a 3-game set over the weekend in Queens against the lowly Colorado Rockies. So don't look down, but the Mets, they're the real deal. Now, right now, they're 2 back in the wild card race. They're tied with Arizona. The only 3 teams ahead of the Mets right now in that are Atlanta, St. Louis, and San Diego. That's it. So the Mets are playing some exciting baseball and beating some bad competition. The Yankees, they got a huge weekend series coming up. They're now down to just 18 games over 500. They've been miserable. They lose the weekend series to Boston. They get shut out last night. They're now 3 back of the Orioles. And the Yankees go to Tampa Bay, but then this weekend they go to Baltimore. So the Yankees may find themselves a week from today at the All-Star break, 6, 7, or 8 back. Who knows? Who knows? But the last couple of years, it's been the same thing with the Yanks. They start out like 40-1. No one can beat them. And then they just die. They just die. It's at this point unexplainable.
Well, I wouldn't say that. They just have no depth. They got nothing behind Judge and Soto. It's ridiculous.
But they had nothing to they had Stanton.
Right.
So for all you Yankee Stanton haters out there who to this day have no idea why Brian Cashman wasted all that on Stanton, when Stanton's out there, they're a much different baseball team.
Yes.
They just are.
Even when Russo's out there, even if he's hitting at the Mendoza line, just having that lefty power bat in there does a lot for the other guys hitting in front and then behind him.
Yeah.
So
what a mess.
You know, you lose those 2 guys, and all of a sudden, oh my God, we're calling up Ben Rice, who doesn't even play first base.
The guy had 3 home runs in 1 game. First Yankee rookie
I love
ever.
him. I love him. He's got a great bat, but now you have him playing a position that
he's been better than Anthony Rizzo.
Yes, he has.
Listen, you did not give me a good explanation. Stanton is missing. Rice has hit better than Rizzo.
Yes.
You got Cole back. Why can't they win?
I'm just saying, you're calling up you're forced now.
It's the same thing every year. Same thing every year.
I'm
they come
with you.
out like gangbusters. Now, both teams need bullpen help, the Mets and the Yankees. I mean, the Mets, they'd be 6 games over 500. You know, they beat 2 big leads last week. 2 big leads. Either way, the baseball season about to go on vacation next week with the All-Star game coming up in Texas. The same week we'll be in Milwaukee to introduce Donald Trump as once again our presidential nominee. Geraldo Rivera, he was the man I replaced when I came to New York 8 years ago to walk alongside Bernard here at WABC. He was a good friend then. He's still a good friend today. We don't agree on much. And this has the potential to be a little contentious. We'll see. Geraldo Rivera back on Sid and Friends in the morning.
Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more. Well, I wake up in the morning, hold my hands and pray for rain. I got a head full of ideas that are driving me insane. It's a shame the way she makes me scrub the floor. I ain't gonna
Bob
work
Dylan
on
here, Maggie's Farm. And to Noam's point earlier, you know, he may have done this song on Saturday night. I couldn't tell. I swear to God, I couldn't tell. Because if you think he's hard to understand when you hear his songs, you got to hear him in concert. You hear like a bunch of like mumbling and gibberish, and then you'll hear window. It's the oddest thing I've ever seen. So I saw Bob Dylan for the first time ever live this weekend, and I'll never do it again. Well, who knows how many people will see it again? He's 84.
You won't even have a choice.
I know. God, it was just awful. He didn't do Blowing in the Wind. He didn't do like a Rolling Stone, and could have been a studio band and some guy who just has a very nasal voice. I wouldn't have known. Who would have thunk that I went Friday night, saw Alanis Morissette, Joan Jett, and Morgan Wade And that was significantly better than Saturday Night Show, which I was at also, which included Robert Plant, Alison Krauss, Bob Dylan, and Willie Nelson. Friday was better. Anyway, my next guest is an icon, a legend, guy I've known for many, many years. And one of the reasons why I made it back to New York, to be honest, my dear friend, the great Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo, good morning, buddy.
Good morning to you, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I saw Bob Dylan this weekend.
You didn't like Dylan. That's
no.
Like a sacrilege.
I know, but it was terrible. He didn't sing his famous songs. It was weird, Geraldo, just weird, I don't know. It wasn't for me. You know who died last week, Geraldo?
President Biden's candidate.
Yeah, that's true. We'll get to that in a second. That's funny. But a guy that actually introduced you to me, Steve Lappa.
Oh, that's terrible.
Isn't that terrible?
But, that's the problem with us old folks, not you, Sid, me and the president. People die. We age out. It is the natural cycle. It's the way life goes on, and President Biden just doesn't get it.
You're right about that. I said that to my beautiful wife, Danielle, a couple of weeks ago. I said, on one hand, you're thankful you live a long life, but then you lose just about everybody. My father, my mom's going to be 90 next year. Forget about presidential candidates or celebrities. You just find that friends and family die while you're still alive, and it's tough.
I ran into the great Roone Arledge, my mentor at ABC News, the inventor, really, of Up Close and Personal and all the rest of it. And he told me once.
And Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football.
And Monday Night Football, right? And he told me once, there's going to come a time in your life when you go to a funeral every week, and it's sadly true. It's either you're going to a funeral or you're acknowledging the passing of someone that you loved.
It's true. It is sad. And while you joked about Joe Biden's candidacy dying, and that's why I wanted to talk to you specifically, because I'm not going to fight with you over whether I think Biden is bad or not. I think he's atrocious. Worst president ever. I think he's a scumbag, too. It doesn't matter. I know you. Yeah. Oh, the worst human being. But I know you like him. I know you guys are friendly. So being that you're coming from there, I want to know what you think. Was the debate a one-night bad performance, or is he in trouble?
Well, first of all, in terms of friendship, I don't know Joe Biden that well. I didn't get close to him. His boss was Barack Obama, who was always kind of chilly, to me, too cool for school. So I didn't get into Biden. And as you know, I was very close to President Trump until January 6th events. But in terms of Joe Biden and the performance, it was pathetic. It was sad. He's only 8 months older than I am, Sid.
Wow.
So I see a lot of myself in some of the fact that he's losing it. It's more than he's lost a step. I mean, it seems to me that he cannot ad-lib a 5-minute conversation to a Girl Scout troop. So it's really very, very sad. It's pathetic. I wish Dr. Jill would tell him, whisper in his ear that it's time now to pass the baton.
She won't do that because she loves this. In fact, she's in the midst right now, the next 2 days, of going to 3 swing states. She's actually campaigning. And, Geraldo, you said, he can't get away with a 5-minute speech at a Girl Scout. I mean, think about this for a second. On a much more serious note, he's got to sit with the guy in China. He's got to sit with Putin. He's got to sit with the guy in North Korea, Kim Jong. He's got to sit with some of the most ruthless, dangerous people in the world. How can you possibly trust him with that?
I was thinking of a slightly different Dr. Strangelove type scenario. What happens if, there's a missile heading someplace, in the United States or our territories, or at a ship of ours, or at some interest of ours, economic or political, around the world, and the aides go to the president, Mr. President, there's a missile flying over Sierra Leone. He'll say, well, I know Sierra Leone when I was in high school. I worry that, non compos mentis. I worry that, when he takes time, when he lost it during the debate, it was a jaw-dropping, gut-wrenching moment that, it was plain to see for everyone that he not only had lost a step, but that he was not good enough for the big leagues anymore, Sid. I hate to say it.
Well, I am going to go a place where I said I wasn't going to go with you about 3 minutes ago. I've been on record saying this many times, Geraldo, since the debate. For me, that was not the issue. one made-for-TV 90-minute appearance, as pathetic as it was not the issue. What was really pathetic was the 3 years he has spent governing this country, from a horrible economy here domestically to the world on fire, all these wars which were not happening when your friend, really my friend Donald Trump was president. I care very little about that debate performance compared to 3 years of what I think is a horrendous presidency. I know you disagree with that.
Well, I think, from my point of view, I think both the presidency of Donald Trump and the presidency of Joe Biden have been underrated. That is the way I think about it. I think both men have done a relatively decent job. I know that the Biden crime family and all the rest of the rhetoric, remember, after 22 years at Fox News, I could not be untouched by my colleagues. I see all that, and yet inflation now is more or less under control. It's getting there. I lament the fact that
No, it's not.
Well, if it's under 3%,
it's okay. It's okay for a person like you because God bless you, you've made millions of dollars in your lifetime. But for the other 48 states, if they go to Red Lobster, is a big deal. Those people can't buy bread and eggs. So please don't tell me it's under control. It's not. It's not.
But there's an awful lot of money given away by both parties during the pandemic that fueled that acceleration in price. There was all the supply chain interruptions and all the rest of it. I maintain, and I feel very firm about this, that Trump and Biden are both underrated. It's easy for either partisans on either side to disparage the performance of both of them, and there certainly are examples of reasons why. But
let me ask you this. You're on record talking about January 6th. I agree in one sense that January 6th was not good for Trump, not because he started a riot. He just didn't do that. In fact, Jack Smith wanted desperately to charge him with an insurrection, and he couldn't do it. He sat around too long. You want to make that criticism? That's fine. Outside of January 6th, where nobody died, by the way, except for one girl, Ashley Babbitt, murdered by a black cop that day. Outside of that day, what did Trump do wrong? For 3.5 years, the world was humming until the Chinese unleashed this vicious virus. What did he do wrong?
Sid, do you want me to go chapter and verse through Trump's foibles? Remember, I was with him from Russia on. I knew how embattled he was. I knew how they tried to sabotage his presidency from the second he got into the Oval Office. Actually, the second he got elected in 2016. But the issues of whether his presidency succeeded or not is in the eye of the beholder somewhat. I liked what Trump did in terms of tariffs with China. I liked that he kept peace on earth. I liked that he grew in the office, it seemed to me, despite the fact that he was embattled and assailed from every quadrant. In terms of Joe Biden, he came in the middle of first of all, to start your term in office when your predecessor has fomented a riot in the Capitol and people are busting into the Capitol, even as the vice president of the United States is trying to certify the electors. I think that it's too easy for Republicans, and I am a Republican, to forget, to have selective amnesia. That was not a little thing. You brush over it, Sid, as if it was, he jaywalked.
Well, what did he do? What did he do? What did he do? He said during his speech, peacefully walk over to the Capitol. Is it his fault that a very small number of these animals, and they were animals, went nuts?
You want to waste our time relitigating this?
No, I do because it is. No, I'll tell you what. No, Geraldo, I'll tell you what. Because I think it's ridiculous.
I'm going to say one thing.
Well, hold on. I think if you're going to be fair, you can talk about any given night during the summer of 2020, during the BLM riots, when the world, for some reason, got on their knees for that scumbag who ended up putting a gun in a pregnant woman's stomach and getting arrested 9 times. Any city, Atlanta, Portland, New York, Chicago, the danger and destruction and crime on any given summer night was worse than what we saw January 6th. And yet you and the media bring that day up. 20 people died that day. It's nonsense.
What possible relevance does that have to the issue at hand? The issue at hand, and this is what I'm trying to tell everybody, including you, Sid. I am 8 months younger than the president. I'm 81 years old. You can change a lot of things about life. You can argue about January 6th. You can argue about the George Floyd riots.
Right.
You can argue about giving out that pandemic money like it was monopoly money. But there's one thing you cannot argue with, and that is the tolling of the clock. Nobody controls time. Time controls you.
Right.
Time has gripped the current president in a way that is disabling, in a way that is profoundly altering his competence to hold that office. So much so that I wonder about his performance in an exigent circumstance.
I can't argue any of that.
The issue now is that the president is too damn old. Some old-timers are still frisky. I like to think of myself that I still have some percentage of the accumulated knowledge over my years in public life.
Right.
Joe Biden also has an accumulated knowledge, but the difference is I can still spontaneously speak about it,
True.
and I don't think he is capable of doing it. It is impossible for him, for example, to have this conversation with you right now.
Oh, God.
He would be hopelessly out of his comfort zone.
Listen, I agree with you 1,000% on what you just said. All I'm saying is if he can run the 40 in 4.4 right now, I still wouldn't want him because I think he was a terrible president above and beyond where his physical health is at this point.
Right.
But
let's leave that debate for future.
So let's get to this
months.
now. So you would like to see Joe Biden step down. Now, Geraldo, all they're talking about today is there's no more talk about Michelle Obama or Gretchen Whitmer or Shapiro or Newsom. The talk today is if it's not Biden, it'll only be one other person, Kamala Harris. Your thoughts there?
I think that is absolutely true, and the Democrats will have to live with it. I think that to consider any other scenario now, it's 4 months to go, less than 4 months to go till the election. They have had this didn't hit Biden like a lightning bolt. This has been a gradual deterioration, plain to see to the eyes of any of his intimates, that he had lost more than a step, that he generationally was ready to hang it up. They did nothing from Hakeem Jeffries, who I love very much. I like him very much, I should say. He's an effective minority leader. Nadler now from the West Side, and all these people jumping on Biden. Where were they, months ago? It wasn't like he caught a cold and all of a sudden he can't serve in office. This has been a gradual deterioration, plain to see to everybody. Everybody's been covering up for the president. I've stopped covering up, but I lament the fact that there are limited options. Why are there limited options? If they couldn't do it over 3 years, how in the world are they going to do it in 4 months? Who are they going to pick? What are they going to do? Have an open convention? What about Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president? There's been no word that she's senile, no word that she can. The rap on her is that you can't outlive. That's a different story. That's a competence issue, not a mental deterioration issue. But I think Kamala Harris has to be the pick of the Democrats, for better or worse. What I would do if I were Biden, I would resign before the end of my term, so she would be President Harris, so she would have that leg up and campaign as President of the United States rather than as Vice President, which is a lame job that has a rough future. So I think that's what he should do. He should step down with a month to go, 2 months to go, anoint the Vice President on the 25th Amendment. Then she picks a vice president. She could pick Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, any of those people. The only way this works is if Biden himself enthusiastically embraces the plan of succession. If he keeps fighting, and they have an open convention going into Chicago or they're Milwaukee.
No, they're Chicago.
Republicans are Milwaukee.
Yeah, we're Milwaukee. Yeah.
So imagine Chicago again. Chicago 68 is all over again. But anyway, that's the only way the Democrats can get out of this is if Biden enthusiastically embraces Kamala and they pick someone else, someone flashy, and then they have a chance against Donald Trump. Who could, if I was Donald Trump, I would pick Nikki Haley, but I know you don't like
I don't like her. He doesn't like her. He's not going to pick her. But I know why you'd pick her, because it does make sense. And I think Trump knows that if you shut him up with some truth serum. This is the great Geraldo Rivera. Now, Geraldo, I've known you for many years, and you're a loyal guy.
I've always been a great fan of it.
No.
You remember we were doing interviews in, where were we? Palm Beach?
We were in Palm Beach.
Florida.
Yes.
We were like in exile in South Florida.
I was. And then I came up with a Super Bowl. You put me on your show on Radio Row. You've always been great to me. I love you.
Proud to do it.
Thank you. So when you come on this show, and I love you. I don't care who you like or you don't like. But you come on the show, and I get some of the nastiest emails. Why are you talking to Jerry Rivera again? He calls himself a Republican. He's anything but. I mean, in this conversation alone, you talked about how much you like Hakeem Jeffries. I can't stand him. And you even weren't all that tough on Biden, less tough than I was. So there's a plethora of Republicans out there who believe that you are really a Democrat in disguise. And they wanted Bongino to beat your ass when you were on Fox News. I mean, I know you hear this all the time. Why is that?
Bongino was always on his back foot. I was constantly dominating our debate. Constantly. That's why he had me. Wait, one time he had us on 30 times in 31 days.
It was entertaining.
Listen, yeah. I grew up. I was born on 17th Street. I'm New York to my core. People know me for my career, 54 years on television. I started in the number one market. A novice, a young lawyer for the young lords, a neighborhood, the hood kind of person. I brought the media, the local news into the streets. The things we did with the disabled and so forth have no party attached to them. I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of my New York connection. I think that people have made their judgment about me over the years. Some people tune in one decade, the next decade, the next decade, the next decade, the next decade. They have a positive or negative opinion about me, and then they change their mind. So I'm fine. I love my city. I love my country. I just want people to be able to see clearly now that what's happening isn't one is bad and the other is good. One is evil and the other is noble. What you have right now is a tragedy acting out. You have an older president who refuses to look in the mirror, and can't recite the alphabet backwards. You have let him take. That's one thing they could do. Both take. If Biden insists on staying in, let him and Trump both take cognitive tests, like when you took the SAT or the bar review courses. Have them both sit down in a monitored room, same questions. Let's see if they have cognitive issues or not. Biden clearly, no one can argue, does not remember what he did last Tuesday. It's that's just the way life is. Life goes on. And let him be the eldest statesman. Let him, sit there, put his feet up, and root on President Kamala Harris.
So what that begs the question now is, assuming it is Trump and Biden does not step down and hand it over to Kamala, if it is those two men, and clearly you're not a big fan of Trump, and you think Biden is shot, you're going to have to vote for somebody. Our kids aren't dying overseas. So Geraldo writes in Howard Stern. Who are you going to vote for on November 5th?
Well, I might vote for Robert Kennedy Jr. I think that he's got a flaky side to him, but it's not going to count because he's not going to win anyway. I try to avoid voting for Democrats, although my wife made me vote for Hillary. In 2016, she sent my 8-year-old daughter in the voting booth with me on the Upper East Side, where we live, and I made sure I voted because she just refused. And I think Trump was a good president. I think he was a good president. I think he could be a good president again. Just stop that radical bullshit that he talks about. Excuse my language.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least you gave President Trump a nice flattering remark on the way out. Geraldo,
I love the guy. I love the guy. I mean, I'm so sad that we had this breakup. It's terrible. How nice, how fun it is to have someone you knew back in the day, now president of the United States, doing a pretty good job. And then when he was assailed by all sides, to be able to stand up for him during Russia particularly.
Yeah. So are you interested at any time in repairing that relationship, talking to Trump? Or?
I would, if the president called me, I would take the call with honor, and I would tell him, I'm so sorry the way things worked out. You stood up. You were a great man. You did a great job. They're underrating you again. Fight for yourself. I'm sure you will. And then I remember the things we did together. And, he used to be a regular guest on my old talk show. We came up together in the mid 1970s. He came in from Queens to do the Hyatt on 42nd Street when it was the Commodore, the junkies and whores everywhere. He's a terrific success story, wonderful guy. But he got jammed up and he refused to say I lost, and that will haunt him forever, and it would be a drain on our relationship forever because it's a constitutional process. You can't mess around with it. That's why we're a country, because we follow those basic rules. And and I wish him well in life. I certainly don't want him to be disadvantaged anyway. By anything I say, it's just one of those things, Sid. One of those things. You go through different phases, friendships and relationships and so forth. And,
sure.
Right now, I can't forgive him, and he hasn't said he's sorry. But I noticed I back him every single one of those lawsuits. I'm the one who said that immunity, when they were scoffing at me, immunity is not going to get immunity. I was saying, it's a powerful Constitution. The Constitution provides impeachment for an errant president, not criminal prosecution.
Right.
That's why presidents are immune. Otherwise, every time there's a successor from another party, they would arrest you for something, jaywalking, speeding, drinking, whatever it is. They'll arrest you for some treaty that you did. Certainly, I'm sure there were Republicans thinking that Biden should be arrested for Afghanistan and the withdrawal.
That's right.
And how we botched that. But you can't mess around. The criminal courts have no business when it comes to judging whether a president has strayed or not. That's what impeachment is for. So at least let's get that sorted out. In every one of these cases, that Alvin Bragg baloney case downtown with the Stormy Daniels, what a piece of crap that was. They made that up. I can't wait until the judge, Merchan, says, something based on these Supreme Court rulings. I'm going to drop this case. I'm going to declare a mistrial. That's what I'd like to see now, a mistrial at the trial level, at the court level, not at the appellate level. I'd like to see the judge say this is a mistrial. Rather than sentence Trump.
Me too. Hey, this was great catching up with you. It really was. I'm glad you're well. You sound great. So thank you for doing this, Geraldo. Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Anytime. Call me in. And those people that yell at you for me, just say, hey, give the guy a chance.
You know what I say? You want the two words I say to them? You ready, Geraldo? You ready? I say this. I say, blow me.
Okay.
That's a bit much for you even, isn't it? Even for you. Even for you, Geraldo, that's a bit much, no?
Okay. Okay.
I love you. I'm glad you came back on the show. It was a great conversation.
Anytime, Sid. Anytime, buddy.
Thank you, Geraldo.
Take it easy.
See you later. Bye-bye. Geraldo Rivera.
I don't think you find that funny.
Okay.
You didn't find that funny.
That was the weirdest. That was the weirdest ending and the weirdest interview.
He just didn't find that funny.
It was.
All right.
Okay. All right, Geraldo. You there? Okay.
Yeah. Minutes after dropping a bullshit.
You got it. Yeah, he curses 10 minutes ago.
I know.
You say blow me,
right.
And he's speechless.
But he's speechless. Speechless. The guy went to find the mob.
Weirdest interview I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Right.
I enjoyed it, though.
Yeah.
Not going to lie to you.
No, I enjoyed it.
Oh, really? I can't tell. Sorry to tell by your hysterical laughing.
We got Roger Stone coming up and Noam with the news. Not nearly done. 45 more minutes. Keep it right here.
You every time you slam the door. I ain't gonna work for Maggie's brother no more. I ain't gonna work for Maggie's paw no more. I ain't gonna
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
But you say he's just a friend. Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
You know I'm such a psycho. I got like a million emails and texts here, I swear to God. People are like, you own Geraldo's ass. I guess, I don't know. I mean, Geraldo's a friend of mine. I don't know what the hell Geraldo is. I mean, I like him a lot. And we've been friends for a long time. And when I say he's one of the reasons why I'm back in New York, that's true. Because I was at this little Pompano Beach station trying my best to stay relevant. I told you the story, which I did the first week I was there, getting on HBO's Hard Knocks about the Miami Dolphins, thanks to Carlos Dansby and Chad Johnson. And my man Steve Lappa, who died last week, we talked about him, got me that job. And then Geraldo was on the sister station, 850. Joyce Kaufman, she's on that. She was on the show last week. And Geraldo was helping me out. Geraldo's news guy at the time was somebody named Noam Layden. And Noam was there for those days. Geraldo helped me out, and he was great to me. He's a lovely guy, but he's just, I don't know where he is. Like, he claims he's a Republican, but I don't know any Republican in the world, not one, who would say what a great guy Hakeem Jeffries is. Not one.
That's probably true.
No, I'm serious. Not one. Don't tell me, well, common sense, but no. There's not a Republican in the world that would shower Hakeem Jeffries. I wouldn't. I can't stand him. That moron was quoting Biggie Smalls in the House of Congress. And then, he didn't talk badly about Biden. He came along at the end there. He was saying nice things about Trump, but I just don't know where he stands or who he is. Do you?
I think he's always been like an issue kind of guy, issue-oriented, not... He is a card-carrying, if there's such a thing, card-carrying member of the Republican Party.
He's nothing.
He's an NRA guy, which is always surprising to people.
Yeah.
But he can go back and forth, and I watched him do it over the years that I worked with him.
And that's why people wanted to beat him up at Fox News all the time.
Yeah. Well, he was definitely the guy that kicked around there.
Yeah. I get my reservations from Milwaukee for next week, and I forgot who gave it to me. It may have been Kevin Drosh, a great program director, through Sophia or Chris, I don't know. And the first thing I do, I'll let you three take a guess, find out where the hotel is in Milwaukee proper, I guess down by the district where they do all the financial stuff. And what's the first thing I do? Lou, what's your guess?
Jim.
Okay, Jim. Justin Ellick, what's the first thing I do?
I was going to say Jim as well, but I'll take chicken parm over that.
Chicken parm? Noam Layden, where you going?
I was going to say chicken parm. I would say tanning salon.
Excellent.
Tanning salon.
Oh.
Okay, well, it's not going to be a tanning salon because the average temperature, which I did check, will be 83 degrees next week. So I'll be sitting outside shirtless on a park bench like a homeless guy in Milwaukee.
Good.
It'd be great if like Ron DeSantis walks by and gives me a quarter.
Yeah.
So it ain't that. It ain't chicken parm. Lou Ruffino, ding, ding, ding. Turns out the DoubleTree I'm staying at is only an 8-minute walk from a Lifetime Fitness gym where I can sign up for the week. And that made me so happy because I was almost depressed. I can't work out in a hotel gym. They're so lame. And I see these people who take it so seriously. You just can't do it. So wherever I go, even in Europe, even in Israel, I found a great gym in Israel across the street from my hotel in Jerusalem, a real gym. So the good news is walking distance to a gym in Milwaukee.
That's fantastic. And then chicken parm right after that.
Right. Then I'll get the chicken parm, yeah. I have no idea what the restaurants are like. I have not been, believe it or not, to that area of Wisconsin. I've been to La Crosse. I've been to Green Bay. Scott Kaplan and I did a major event on a Monday night game, Packers-Vikings, when the Packers had Brett Favre and the Vikings had Randy Moss. I've been to a Packer game, but never in Milwaukee proper. So I'm really excited about this. Shut up. I am about the event, though. All those Republicans, all my buddies, those are all my buddies. Those are all Geraldo's buddies. He's a Republican, right? All right, we'll take a short break when we get back.
Not even game. I forgot it's the All-Star break, too.
It is.
Yes.
The baseball players will be in Texas, where the Rangers won the World Series last year, and Sid will be in Milwaukee, where Donald Trump will be nominated and eventually come November be once again the president, thank God, of the United States. Short break. Roger Stone, Sid and Friends in the Morning, coming up next.
This is the WABC opening bell report. Coming up this week, things start off with word on consumer credit this morning. Tuesday, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell scheduled to testify before the Senate Committee on Banking. Weekly jobless claims, they're due out on Thursday with a slight increase expected. And the week winds up Friday with the Producer Price Index. Now, last week we sent some records on the market, so all eyes will be on it this morning to see if that rally continues, and we're just waiting for the opening numbers, which are coming out in just the next couple seconds. The Dow is up 150 points. That is the, we like that. I'm Noam Layden with the opening bell report on 77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Do you have the mental and physical capacity to do it for another 4 years?
Please, I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I did.
There you have it, folks. Another disaster. Not as bad as Biden versus Trump debate, but Biden's Stephanopoulos was also very ugly. John Fetterman, the Dem out of Pennsylvania, on record today saying, hey, say what you want about Biden. He's the only one who's beaten Trump. That's been my argument, that I still believe, as bad as he is, and I'm not talking about his physical issues. You know, I've been doing this for a long time on this station. Everybody talks about Biden's physical issues. That's not the issue for me. The issue for me is, for the better part of 3 years, he's been the worst president in our country's history. Has nothing to do with his physical issues. Zero. He's got both. Makes it even worse. Even worse. But I don't care if this guy runs the 40 and 4-4. It doesn't change the fact he's the worst president ever. That's decision-making. That's Democrat policy. Nothing to do with how he speaks on a debate stage. But with that said, I still believe, outside of Michelle Obama, he gives the Dems their best chance. I really believe that. I just saw a lady, for example, on Fox News who said, I would vote for Biden over Trump if Biden was in a casket. And there are Dems who feel that way. They like this guy. I don't know why, but they do. They'd rather have a decrepit Joe Biden. So if I'm the Democrats, these 9 House members and these other folks, I'd slow down. I still think if you don't get Michelle Obama, Biden gives you your best chance. Better chance than Kamala, much better chance than these loser governors. Any one of them, Whitmer, Shapiro, Newsom, they've got no chance. But the man who knows more about this than me does a great show on this station every Sunday. I love this guy. Roger Stone, back here on a Monday morning. Roger, good morning, pal. How are you?
Sid, great to be with you as always.
Nice to have you, too. I know you heard what I just said. As awful as Biden was in that debate, and he was almost as bad with Stephanopoulos, and how now it's really, really obvious that he can't do this. I still believe, outside Michelle Obama, he gives the Dems the best chance to win. Am I nuts?
Well, the problem is it's not a static situation. While I would concede to you, Sid, you might be right today. But if he falls down next week or begins calling people by the wrong names or has some other obvious mental, meltdown, his situation could greatly deteriorate. Look, I'm a great believer in the statement by Napoleon, who said, "Never interrupt your enemy while they are in the process of destroying themselves." And that's exactly what's happened. But let's be clear. Those who knew that he was incapacitated, those who knew he wasn't well, those knew that he couldn't function in this job, hid that fact from us. And now suddenly that it has been exposed to all of the American people, now suddenly they're insisting the guy they were covering up for needs to be removed. The hypocrisy is so deep you could cut it with a knife.
You know what else is so deep, and that is the Trump derangement syndrome for your friend and mine, President Trump. I mean, based upon their presidencies, based upon right now cognitive issues, Donald Trump should be up 20 points, and he's just not. This is, in my opinion, still too close for my comfort with the election less than 4 months away. And I'm sorry, you can't go back and say Trump did a bad job, whether you hate him or not. So the Trump derangement syndrome, to me, is as palpable as Biden's physical weaknesses.
What this is, unfortunately, is a reflection that the mainstream legacy media still has a huge amount of influence in in this country, on the people who are really not paying attention. People for whom, getting to work, getting back, taking the kids to Little League, getting to the church supper, mowing the lawn, all of these things are a higher priority than American politics. So this is going to be a very close-run thing. Joe Biden is hunkered in. Hunter has now emerged as his gatekeeper and his chief political advisor. That's scary because he has self-preservation in mind. Joe needs to stay in office so he can pardon Hunter. Otherwise, Hunter's going away, probably for a long time. Dr. Jill, she likes the pomp and ceremony of being the vice president. And, of course, the rest of his family, we know definitively, based on the House Oversight Committee seizing of bank records, they ripped off at least $18 million from Russia, China, Ukraine, Syria, Mexico, Romania. Remember when Joe looked us in the eye in the first debate and said, not a single member of my family has taken a penny from any foreign country? That was a lie. But, Sid, I agree with you regarding his being a terrible president, but it did occur to you that when he signed so many of these orders, these executive orders and bills that destroyed this country, that he may not have been in his right mind. Therefore, those orders may not actually be valid.
No, I don't buy that because those orders, in other words, if you told me he signed stuff, Roger, and I would tell Bill O'Reilly the same thing. If you told me he signed stuff that was part of the Republican talking points, I'd say, wow, this guy's lost it. Everything he signed was a Democrat talking point, was a Democrat policy. So he just signed what he believes in. You'd have to show me something he signed that spit in the face of what his party believes in before I said he's completely lost it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, although I take it a different way. He signed everything Barack Obama and his people put in front of him.
It's fine, too. If you want to go that route, that's fine, too. But, again, it comes down to he signed Democrat policy. So for me to believe he's really lost it, he's completely gone, is if he signed something, I don't know, that says the border is shut down, something that is closer to Trump's border than his, then I'd have this conversation.
I'm making a slightly different point. We don't disagree that much, but Colonel Douglas McGregor was on my great show last night in 77 WABC, and he made a very good point. If it can be proven that he was non-compos mentis when he signed these orders, it would still void them, regardless of where they came from. Look, this thing is going to be very close. The single biggest bundler in New York, the single biggest producer of campaign funds for Democrats and for Joe Biden, a guy named Kramer, says he's out. not contributing, not collecting another dime until Biden's out. Most of the major Democrat money people are saying the same thing. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're getting very antsy because polling is now coming back, showing that in the wake of the debate, congressional districts in states that they thought were safe, not in play, now suddenly look competitive. So there's increasing panic there. Can Hunter and Jill hold off the New York Times and Politico and CNN and The Atlantic and the other fake news outlets that are now clamoring for Joe Biden's head? They all knew. They all knew what kind of shape he was in. They hid it from us. Now they're busted, and suddenly they want to switch nominees. I don't know how they pass up Kamala Harris. I agree with you, and I've always said this for years. Michelle Obama would be their strongest candidate. She's a clean slate when it comes to politics. She's probably the most admired Democrat in the country who's eligible, since her husband's not eligible. I've said for some time that I thought she would be the ultimate nominee. That's not the same as saying she's running or she wants it. But if they go to this open convention, this 3-week open convention, trust me, she is far more popular than any Democrat you can name.
No, she scares the hell out of me. I think we'll beat everybody. I do. Except for her. I don't know if we can beat her. But I do know this. The path to 270 looks a heck of a lot easier, Roger Stone, for our guy Trump, since this quote-unquote blue wall, which consists of states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, where we'll be next week, Wisconsin, seems to be crumbling. That blue wall looking more like a red wall. So as long as nothing changes and it's not Michelle Obama, the path to 270 looks a lot better for President Trump.
I agree with that. Plus, there's been some expansion of the map. New Jersey, not in contention 4 years ago. 1 point separates Trump from Biden in the Garden State this morning, from a reputable pollster who I know and I've worked with, not a guy who's doing, public relations. This is a real poll. New Jersey, definitely within reach. Minnesota, out of our reach in 2020, now definitely within reach.
You know what's funny about Minnesota? Trump may win Minnesota because Biden will lose Minnesota because these idiots, these Somalians and pro-Palestinians in Minnesota and Michigan, by the way, they deem Joe Biden pro-Israel when you and I both know full well that Donald Trump is 1,000 times more pro-Israel than Joe Biden.
I think that's an excellent analysis. Here's what we should consider, Sid. You should come be a political strategist and consultant, and I could do your morning show.
No. You are great at both. So Jersey's in play. Minnesota's in play. What other surprises are there?
The New Mexico, very definitely a positive trend there. New Mexico now potentially within Trump's reach. So, look, we were all looking at the same series of swing states: Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and that's in
Nevada.
Those states, Nevada. And in those states, in about 60 counties, this decision is going to be made. I'm more optimistic every other week. I mean, what we're seeing here, the implosion of the Democratic Party, the fratricide. If you have an open convention, here's a little known fact: more than 50% of the delegates to the Democratic National Convention are non-white.
It's true.
Almost a third of them are controlled by the more radical left labor unions like CWA and AFSCME and so on.
Yep.
So if you leave it wide open, you ask them to pick their favorite, it would be Michelle Obama. Whether she would agree to run, whether she would take it, that remains to be seen. But I agree with you. She would be the toughest candidate they could nominate. Making fun of her gender would really, really be stupid. because people would see it as pardon the expression, below the belt.
Yeah, I don't do that. I know people describe her as a man. It's stupid.
I don't either. I think
stupid.
it's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. Really stupid. And if you love Trump, you're hurting him. On the way out, the Dems are also counting on all this legal stuff, which is pleasantly for me evaporating right in front of our eyes with the Supreme Court ruling, which was the right ruling, by the way. So all that nastiness that the Democrats were counting on, that's going away. Biden's lead is going away. Biden may be going away. And we've got a convention next week in Milwaukee, which I expect, Roger, to be a caucus partisan Republican crowd and a very exciting week. What do you expect?
I think it's going to be a great convention. Sid, I've been to every Republican National Convention since 1964. Went to the first one when I was 12 years old to cheer for Barry Goldwater. And I'm very excited about this one because this platform is going to be an accurate reflection of what Donald Trump stands for, not what some think tank in Washington stands for, not what others stand for. This is going to be the blueprint to renew America. I'm very excited about it. Ed Martin, longtime friend of mine, longtime Republican National Committee man from Missouri, former state party chairman of Missouri, very, very solid Trump loyalist, very smart guy, working the platform for Donald Trump, have huge confidence in him. This is going to be a celebration. Now, obviously, we expect some protesters. There will be protesters, but not like you're going to see in Chicago. Their party is in worse shape in terms of being divided than any time since the Vietnam War in 1968. And their Palestinian wing, as you pointed out, is a real problem. It's not that those folks, I think, will vote for Donald Trump. Most of them will not. So a few of them will, but most of them will not. Most of them will just not vote for genocide, Joe.
Which is great for us. So when do you get to Milwaukee? On Sunday?
Probably on Sunday. I got the president is at Doral, Florida, on Tuesday for a big rally, which is just down the street. I've also got some meetings this week. I'm a volunteer helping the campaign. I feel better and better about victory every day, Sid. It's been an incredible 10 days between the debate and the Supreme Court ruling. But the most enjoyable piece of the week was Trump's interview with George Stephanopoulos, when he said to George, I got distracted because when they cut Trump's microphone off, he kept yelling at me and shouting at me. Said I went back and looked at the whole tape. That didn't happen, not even once.
No, I know.
Not even once.
It's funny because, they go on and on about Trump's lies in the media all day. And I'm not going to say Trump never lied. I love Donald Trump. I love him like a relative, but I'm sure he has. This guy Biden, all he does is lie. That's all he does is lie.
It wasn't even close. If Trump made any misstatements in the debate, they were relatively minor. I think I could count 5.
Right.
Where I counted 47 individual lies by Biden.
Every topic, every major topic they covered, he lied. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. There are more border crossings under Trump than under me. That's a lie. Women don't get abortions in the 8th and 9th month of pregnancy. That's a lie.
Right.
Inflation was 15% 15% when I came in.
Right.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Trump told us to take bleach for the COVID-19 vaccination. That's a lie. You can always tell when Joe Biden's lying. You know how? His lips are moving.
There you go. Roger Stone, another spectacular appearance. I look very much forward to seeing you in Wisconsin next week. Great job here today, and we're going to have a great time in Milwaukee next week, Roger. Thank you so much.
Sid, thanks for inviting me. I look forward to seeing you in Milwaukee next week, which is very famous for its beer. So
yes, it is.
Have a beer.
Yes, it is. We'll see you there, and of course, Laverne and Shirley as well. The great Roger Stone will take a short break, come back, and wrap things up on this Monday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning. Right after this.
Clothes you're wearing, girl, are causing public scenes. I said I'm not your stepping stone. Stepping stone. Not just stepping stone. Not just stepping stone.
my best friend. This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
All right, Big Lou. I miss you guys. I know you enjoyed the vacation and coming back today. It's always weird. You know, I walked in the building at 10 to 5 this morning. It was like I never left. But I miss you guys. I missed you, Lou. Justin, of course, wasn't here at all last week. Justin, how was Israel, quickly?
It was wonderful. Very hot. Very, very hot.
How hot?
Too hot.
Like over 100 degrees, right? I'm serious, because Ava was complaining, too.
It felt that way.
Yeah, it was rough.
It really felt that way. But it was wonderful. Great to see the family. Mazel tov to my cousin Adva. She's a married woman now.
Now, is she the child of your aunt and uncle I met?
Yes.
They're good people. What are their names again?
Sherry and Benny.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Mazel tov.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll go back in October again.
Yes, we will.
Noam, I missed you too, brother.
Right back at you.
I'm glad we're all back together.
Terribly.
I'm sure we had big numbers today. I know we did. And we'll do it again tomorrow, because that's what we do. Every day is a great show on Sid and Friends in the morning. When I go home, my son is at Bruce Beck's sports broadcasting camp, day 1. He's very excited, according to Danielle. Tonight we got his 3rd basketball game of the year. We're 1-1, big game tonight against Bird's team. And we'll have all the info on tomorrow's show. So, as my friend Gene says, God willing, we'll all be back tomorrow at 6 for the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the morning. Until then, from all of us to all of you,
Hi, it's Lou Dobbs for Priority Gold, America's precious metals dealer. These are volatile times with high inflation, soaring debt, wars on multiple continents, and rising financial stress. Central banks are buying gold to diversify their reserves, so are many Americans. Call Priority Gold and find out how precious metals can help you diversify your portfolio. They're highly rated and happy to help. Call 1-866-303-6357 or get a free gold guide at PriorityGoldGuide.com. That's PriorityGoldGuide.com.